the ability of our troops to be well trained, and more broadly, of the U.S.
Senator, I appreciate the question. I think it's one of the untold stories of our department is how we've tried to revolutionize the speed and scale of new acquisitions and procurement. Some of it through munitions and ensuring that companies pay for building their own factories.
Well known to this committee for some time, and prior to the conflict with Iran, there has been bipartisan support to address these shortfalls. While these munitions shortfalls have been years in the making, they are growing increasingly urgent. We should not undermine the readiness of our service members for any engagement or refuse to rebuild critical capabilities. Our men and women in uniform do not decide where they are sent or the missions to which they are assigned. Congress has a responsibility to ensure that they have the tools, the training, and the support that they need to accomplish their missions. On the topic of our service members, I would be remiss if I did not note that since January of last year, the department has removed a number of senior generals and admirals from their positions, blocked or altered promotion lists across multiple services, and intervened in several senior assignments. A recent New York Times story reported that about 40 senior officers were removed from promotion lists, and more than 24 generals and admirals were fired or sidelined, including Admiral Lisa Franchetti, the first woman to lead the Navy. The Times further reports that more than half of those fired or removed have been female or Black, and that for the first time in more than a decade, no active duty female naval officers are likely to be promoted to admiral. I find this deeply troubling. These are men and women who volunteered to serve our country and swore an oath to support and defend our Constitution. Over the course of their careers, they have earned the support and the trust of their commanders and subordinates, led our men and women in uniform, and were selected through rigorous command and promotion boards. They have served under presidents and defense secretaries from both parties. Reports that women and people of color are disproportionately fired or sidelined create the impression that their service is not valued. This is likely to discourage well-qualified women and individuals of color from joining our armed forces, thus depriving us of their talent, dedication, and patriotism. The United States military is one of the greatest meritocracies in the free world. We need to make sure that it stays that way. I now recognize Vice President Murray for her opening statement.
Thank you very much, Chair Collins, and thank you to all of our witnesses who are here today. I first, too, do want to acknowledge the loss of one of our colleagues on this dais. Like so many, I was very shocked and saddened to learn of Senator Graham's passing. We disagreed on many issues, but there was no denying the energy that Lindsay brought to this job. And whenever we could, we found common ground and managed to get something done. So I just wanted to express that my heart goes out to his family, friends, and loved ones today. Now, I want to start with a few facts. 143 days ago, President Trump started a war of his own choosing with Iran. He did not consult Congress. He did not get authorization from Congress. He did not build a coalition of allies. He did not make a case to the American people, nor did he ever win their support. 2/3 of Americans opposed the war, and the president's decision had catastrophic costs. 17 American service members have now died, and that includes 3 who tragically lost their lives over the last few days, and another is still missing. Several hundred more have been injured, including nearly 100 who've been hurt just in the last few weeks. We owe all of them and their families a debt of gratitude that we can never repay. Thousands of civilians have also been killed, and this administration will not tell the public or Congress the true financial costs of this war, but we know it is very well into the tens of billions of dollars. Tax dollars we could have spent helping people afford health care or building new housing have now been lit on fire by a president who blundered us into a disastrous war. And the cost to families' bank accounts are staggering. Economic growth has slowed to a crawl. Inflation has shot up about 50% since this war began. On average, gas cost just under $3 on February 28th. Today it is over $4 and ticking back up with the strait closed again. Americans have now paid more than $70 billion more on gas since this war began. That is over $550 more per household. Fertilizer costs skyrocketed in the middle of spring planting, crushing farmers operating on extremely thin margins and costing families more on just about everything they buy at the grocery store. The costs of this war have been astronomical. And what has it been for? What has actually been achieved? We hear a different rationale for this war every few days. It was about preempting imminent threats, which we now know did not exist. It was about regime change, then liberating the Iranian people. It was about destroying Iran's nuclear program and its Navy. And at one point, it was about taking out its ballistic missiles until the president decided that actually, and I quote, "It's a little bit unfair for them not to have some." Trump has even suggested the war is about taking Iran's oil to, quote, "make a fortune." And now the United States' primary strategic objective seems to be to actually just reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which of course was fully open, toll-free, before this war began. President Trump has, by any objective measure, failed to achieve his goals. Our country is no safer or better off than before the war. In fact, we are considerably less safe. Our stockpiles have been depleted, and it will take years of production to fully replenish them, no matter how much money is thrown at this problem. Our global force posture is much weaker, and as assets have been moved now to the Middle East. And we are now much further away from a long-term solution to halt Iran's nuclear program than we were before Trump ripped up the deal that President Obama negotiated, which secured actual, measurable commitments and progress without ever starting a costly war. In fact, there are new reports that Iran may have moved nuclear assets into a mountain bunker, which raises concerns about whether Iran might restart its program. It used to be a pretty somber and serious thing, a president taking America to war and costing lives and taxpayer dollars. But this president has been downright flippant. The people I represent worry Trump thinks this is all a game and has sent men and women into harm's way without any sort of plan. And now that he's driven that car into the ditch, he wants taxpayers to bail him out. As the daughter of a World War II veteran and a Purple Heart recipient, the way this White House has blissfully operated with no plan for success is disrespectful to our men and women in uniform. These are patriots. They are highly trained and have sacrificed tremendously to keep us safe. They shouldn't be forced to put a show on for the president's birthday parade or do the job of Border Patrol agents or risk their lives in a disastrous war that the president clearly failed to think through. And as a U.S. Senator, this administration's refusal to explain what it is doing or how this war is protecting Americans, its refusal to seek authorization from Congress, and its expectation that Americans will now just pay for it all without any explanation or transparency is disrespectful, and it's insulting to the people back home that all of us represent. So here we are, 5 months later. The strait is closed. The ceasefire hasn't just disintegrated. This war is now spiraling out of control again. The president is threatening escalation and war crimes and suggesting this could be another forever war. He has told us over 40 times now that a deal is near and the war will be over soon. But now he is asking for $70 billion more and for us to just trust him it'll work out fine. Look, I've been very clear. My Democratic colleagues and I will do absolutely everything to ensure that we do take care of our service members and keep this country safe. Chairman Kaine, I hope you know that every Democrat on this committee deeply respects the sacrifices that you and our service members and their families are making. Everyone who signed up to serve our country deserves to be more than an afterthought in a war that the president decided to launch despite all the blinking red warnings. But my colleagues and I cannot and will not support rubber stamping a request to bankroll this war and whatever other misadventures Trump wants to get us into next. The American people want to see a quick and strategic end to this war, not $70 billion of their tax dollars sent to keep it going. And I want to make a few important points. First, the president's request is not even primarily a request to cover the costs of the Iran war. This request is chock full of asks to fund unrelated DoD priorities, which should be considered through our annual appropriations process, not in an emergency supplemental. And that includes almost $1 billion for Southcom, nearly $1 billion to keep deploying the National Guard here in D.C., and more than $1 billion for the southern border. Secondly, President Trump is making this request as the Pentagon has a record-breaking $1 trillion.
I'm looking at the chat and seeing what some of you guys are saying. They're like, get this wench off the television. That's why I don't like showing these things, because this one's really important. You had Pete Hegseth and General Raising Cane trying to get the budget or acquisition budget so they can get some more arms and everything. And these guys are pontificating, lying, blowharding their way through the entire thing. But I felt remiss if I didn't show you a little bit and give you an explanation why I don't like showing these things, because it just goes back and forth and nothing ever happens, and they're going to get the money. I mean, let's be real here. They're going to get the money. This is just being put on television and on my stream here just to, give these blowhards a little bit of time to talk. Now, what I do want to show you before I get going into the show is when Pete Hegseth begins talking, and when he begins talking, the nut jobs in the audience just start acting up like crazy. So I'm not going to play too much of this, and then we'll get into our show. But I just wanted you at least to see once Pete Hegseth begins talking, and then we can move on from there.
Might need to weather Trump's storm. We must also help families put food on the table. And to do that, we should delay and ultimately reverse Republicans' deep cuts to SNAP, which have already kicked at least 1 million kids off of food assistance. Finally, Trump has also requested, and I had to read this one twice to believe,
What the hell does SNAP have to do with the Department of War? They try to just put everything in there so that people can feel so poor about the poor peoples and everything else, and it's absolutely ridiculous. SNAP should have never come up in this discussion. It's crazy.
Authorities to make U.S. taxpayer dollars subsidize the Venezuelan oil industry and to finance the establishment of private investment funds like the one he just handed over to one of his ballroom donors. Unfortunately, Secretary Rubio is not here with us today to explain those requests, to talk about how this war forced one of the largest evacuations of our diplomatic posts ever, or to explain whether, as a national security advisor, he still thinks this war is, quote, the right decision, and whether he still quote, believes in it strongly. So this is really a request to make taxpayers pay for the president's reckless decisions from the Iran war to his trade wars, to his global health cuts, all while doing nothing to help our families back home who are suffering because of those decisions. And that is what we should be focused on, helping people. Because as Senator Padilla and others on both sides of the aisle will tell us shortly, there are urgent domestic needs that we should be addressing instead of sending more money for Trump to drop bombs overseas. Priorities like disaster relief for our communities that have been ravaged by the unthinkable, or taking action to lower families' costs. You know what's a crisis right now? The fact that there are families I hear from back home who are working full-time and still being forced to decide whether to skip meals so they finally can buy their kids a pair of shoes. You know what's a crisis? The fact that hospitals are shutting down and kids are going hungry because of Republicans' cuts. Instead of bankrolling the president's war or sending ICE $70 billion, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle could work with us to quadruple our investments to cure cancer or help families afford childcare or help them afford to cool their homes. Those are policy choices. And Republican leadership has chosen to focus on funding war and ICE endlessly without a single cent for our American families. So let me close with this. This president says we can't afford health care. We can't afford child care. We can't afford housing. But somehow we can always afford another war. No price tag on that. Families in Washington state are skipping doctor's visits so they can afford groceries. Trump wants Congress to cut him a blank check for a war that no one supports. The American people entrust us to spend their taxpayer dollars strategically and thoughtfully. This is a huge responsibility, so let me be clear. I'm ready to work with my colleagues in a bipartisan way, as always, to address the needs of our nation and the American people. But I hope we can have real conversations about why there seems to always be money for Trump's wars, but never money for the families back home who are desperate for a little relief. So I look forward to today's discussion. Thank you.
I will now introduce our first panel of witnesses. Today, we're going to be hearing first from our colleagues, Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota, Senator Ted Budd of North Carolina, and Senator Alex Padilla of California. I welcome all of you, and Senator Rounds will begin with you first.
Chair Collins, Vice Chair Murray, and members of the committee, thank you for the...
All right, so now that you've woken up, now that you've had time to listen to that insanity, can we go on? I mean, we'll see clips on X. I mean, if you want me to keep playing this, let me know. I'll check in the comments here if you want to see this snooze fest. That's all it is. The Democrats are going to scream and moan and bitch, and the Republicans are going to say, you know, to get the money, but you got to come through us. And in a couple days or so, they will agree and give him the money anyway. But a lot of people always come to me and say, Barry, why don't you show these hearings? Yeah, so I'll check the comments. I'll go back to this, and you guys let me know if this is something that you want me to continue with, because I don't really care.
Costs that exceed market returns. Higher fertilizer, diesel fuel, seed, equipment, and crop protection costs, coupled with retaliatory trade practices and continued market uncertainty, have put enormous financial pressure on producers.
Y'all cracking me up like, no, we don't want to see this. All right, let's go with the show, and we'll come back to this idiocy a little bit later, because they're going to be going on probably, I would doubt, I mean, probably hours and hours and hours. So let's go ahead and start the show. Let me just make sure I got my right button here ready to go. Where's my button? And I hear SV typing. That typing you hear is him. All right, let's go.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I represent New York's 11th District. I'm the daughter of a Cuban refugee. My mother fled communist Cuba when Fidel Castro came in 1959. So I'm very familiar with what communism does. My mother fled the country, leaving her father behind. She came with her mother here. And the regime ended up stealing my family's home, their small business, which was a gas stations that my grandfather had, and my mother never saw her father again. So communism destroys, it steals from the people, And as you've seen our Secretary of State point out, people end up living in squalor and lack the basic needs that human beings need. And the people that run the regime live as kings. That's the reality. It's about power. It's about consolidating power for a select few. And that is exactly what some of the people that are running for office here in the United States, sadly, are trying to do. We just saw a radical group of individuals win the Democrat primary in New York City. Some of these candidates support no jails, no cops, no borders. They even want to defund the military. You have across the river in New Jersey, Adam Hamaway, who was a character witness for the blind sheik who was convicted of conspiracy in the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center. And then in my city of New York, as I mentioned, not just those who just won those primaries, we have Mayor Mondani, who pushed and is pushing an agenda of government-run supermarkets, abolishing private property rights, and seizing the means of production. That was his campaign platform. He has said those words. And that is exactly what they did in communist Cuba. Socialism, communism, I mean, in my view, and I think in reality, socialism is just communism light. It is a step, as my mother says, it is a step to full communism. If socialism succeeds, then you get communism. And what happens in that process? The government is stealing wealth from people, stealing property from people, and they are using that money to offer things, to redistribute things in a quest to consolidate that power. And as you see with some of the socialist policies that we've seen implemented in New York, costs rise, right? This is not, the mayor running on affordability is ludicrous when you think about what socialism actually does, because they steal your money and they spend it, and it leads to inflation. And we know what happened in Venezuela. Packing the Supreme Court. How many times have we heard the Democrats here talk about packing the Supreme Court? Well, that's exactly what they did in Venezuela in 2004. They packed the Supreme Court from 20 to 32 justices, and then 40,000 cases were decided in the favor of Chavez and Maduro. Think about that. So I don't care what they call themselves, but when you're taking pages out of the playbook of Karl Marx, pushing for abolishing private property rights and seizing the means of production, or Hugo Chavez in packing the Supreme Court, that's what you're going to get. So they can call themselves Democrat socialists, but the reality is that the Communist Caucus, the Commie Caucus, is coming to Congress. And it's going to be a rude awakening if we don't all pay attention. And that includes the press. Think about what's happened in those countries where they've had socialism and communism. The press is the first one to go. When they finally consolidate that power, the media is the first one to go, and it is a state-run media. So it's incumbent upon all of us to get the truth out there about the threats that we are facing as a country with these radical people that want to bring this horrific ideology here.
And everywhere we go, the American people are seeing and understanding, and they're articulated in their own way, the stark contrast between the two sides. As we say all the time, this is not your father's Democratic Party. The chasm between the two sides and their visions for America and what we believe, our principles, our priorities, our platforms, has never been more divergent than it is right now. As I've said here many times, and I say across the country, a few decades ago, Republicans and Democrats in Congress are arguing over marginal tax rates and shades of regulation. Now we are quite literally in a contest to determine whether we're going to maintain our status as the world's great superpower, the greatest nation in the history of the world, as a constitutional republic, or we're going to tear that down to the foundation like the communist Democrats want to do and go down this dark road of Marxism. Not on our watch. We're not going to do that. And I am very confident. In fact, I'm very enthusiastic about the upcoming midterm election because I believe that people are beginning to see this, and it is going to motivate voter turnout for true Americans who love their country and want to keep it. We're in the process of making it better every single day. And you're going to see that on display this week on the floor. We said this is a contrast. We had been saying for months, you've heard me say, a contrast between common sense and crazy in the midterm. And now it's common sense versus communism. This is real.
I want to pronounce her name right, so I'm actually going to look at it. The woman who is speaking is Nicole Maliotakis from New York. She's a congresswoman there. And what she said was absolutely 100% correct. You see, right now, the Democrats are in the middle of an actual civil war, which I mentioned to you yesterday. I think it's kind of fake. And I think some people are realizing they got to bail their way out of this because they're concerned about how it's coming across. But yesterday I told you, I think what they want, I think what they're trying to do is get President Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act, invoke some sort of martial law. So at that point, they can say, look, we told you President Trump's an authoritarian, fascist dictator, and this is what he's going to do. Now he's doing it. Never mind the fact that they're the ones who are stirring up all of the violence, can we say. And what Nicole said is exactly true, because I think one of the problems we're having in this country is that the left is cuckoo, the right is fractured, and nobody's collectively coming together in a united way to take these people on. There are so many different factions on the right who seem to be, I don't know, positioning themselves for whatever, whether it's clicks and likes, or if they want to run their own party or do this or do that, but there's no unity. And I personally believe one of the quickest ways to understand why we need to stop with all the bull crap and 100% get behind President Trump. Because if these people get their way, we're done. There is no mulligan. There is no do-over. It doesn't matter whether you're bitching about HR 9535 or you're bitching about the Epstein files or you're bitching about anything. Because your bitching won't matter if these people get back in power. We can never let that happen. Let's come together as a family first, and then, coalesce, and then we can worry about what's going on inside the house. But now we've got people throwing stones and everything else, like, you see this, you see this? And I'm like, it doesn't matter right now. What matters is get your act together and come together. And one of those ways may be, because I'm pretty sure most people on the right, many people on the left, but they're too far gone, most people on the right probably have no idea what communism and socialism is beyond reading a book. That's where our problem is. That's where you have to know how desperate of a situation we're in. I've mentioned to you many times, there's a place in Miami called Versailles, giant Cuban restaurant. Maybe people should go on vacation and fly down to Miami, go out there and have a cup of Cuban coffee, grab a Cuban cigar, and sit down and say, tell me how it was. Because I don't know. I've read it in a book, I've seen some movies, but tell me exactly how it was. I see the Democrats saying they want to do this and do that. I see Hassan Piker celebrating Mao Zedong. You have the ability in your own country to find out the truth, and I don't see many people taking that opportunity to educate themselves, to realize, first and foremost, we must beat them. We must destroy them. And I see too many factions going over here and going over there. And when, you take the time to talk to somebody who lived through it, survived it, your whole perspective will change. Your perspective will say, I don't care about any of this other stuff right now. I don't need to be bitching and whining about X, Y, and Z. My total focus needs to be destroying whatever this kind of party is, whether it's the Commiecrats, the Democrats, I don't care what they are. I'm begging you all to put your crap away, just to say no more of this stuff. And focus on what we need to do. I don't care if you're mad at Erica Kirk. I don't care if you listen to Alex Jones or Candace. You need to start paying attention, close attention. I got some proof for you here in a second. You see, many of us, it's sort of the same way that the Democrats talk about slavery. None of us know any slaves. I've never known anybody who was a slave. I've never known anybody who knew somebody who was a slave. And so I can't ever go to them and say, hey, old Joe, tell me what it was like. I can watch movies, I can read books, but I can't talk to anybody. See, you have an opportunity that I don't think you realize needs to be taken. Talk to somebody who escaped this stuff and let them tell you the horrors of what happened. As Nicole was talking there, after she got done, nobody in the media wanted to ask her any questions. They're going to steal your business. They're going to steal your property. They're going to ration food. They're going to and you can't vote your way out of it. They're going to maintain the military. Every single thing they've been saying about Trump, they have planned. They put it in writing. And I can't for the life of us see why we're talking about anything other at this point of wiping these people out. Here's what happens when you don't stop this. When you see this infestation come into your home, if you don't call the exterminator, per se, this is what will happen. This is specifically what will happen.
No volverán a haber elecciones. No volverán a haber elecciones. Para que por ahí intenten ellos atrapar el gobierno, atrapar el poder. Y vamos a trabajar con las asambleas nacionales y con las organizaciones correspondientes, las leyes, porque hay que hacer las leyes que les pongan un muro, un bloque a los golpistas, a los vendepatrias, y que por mucha plata que le den los yanquis, no podrán.
In case you don't realize it, that's I guess they call him the president, but he has named himself the Grand Poobah of Nicaragua. And yesterday, he told the people of Nicaragua, that's it. I am your president for life. That's it. We're done. We're not doing any more elections. Call it a day. I'm it. What do you mean? That's it. We're done. I am El Presidente forever. That's it. Done. And the captive people, as you just heard, oh, that's fantastic. You better clap. You better clap and show your approval. You don't want him picking you out and go pick up him, definitely her. She's a troublemaker. Get him, his whole family. Get them out. That is their master plan. That is what they want to do. Anybody who's ever fled Cuba will tell you, hey, I lived that. That's exactly what happened. One day we're trying to do our best, live our lives, and we're complaining about the government. The next day, you get your head lopped off or something, and there's no way out. I am your new president for life. You think the Supreme Court's got a problem? Oh, no. You got a problem where your rest of your life is going to be under this one man or whoever he deems as his successor when he kicks the bucket. So let me ask you a question. I want you to close your eyes and imagine 2029, January of 2029, January 20th or so. You're thinking to yourself, okay, and this guy named Mondami and AOC have won the presidency and the vice presidency. Oh yeah, that's a nightmare. But I want you to imagine that happening. What is your life going to be like? See, you won't have a second chance. You won't be able to say, I wish I had done this back in 2026. I wish I knew that we needed to coalesce and beat these people, to exterminate them. I wish I had told some other people, let's focus. Stop with all the crap. We'll fix the other stuff. We need to make sure that we get this right. I don't care if you hate Israel. I don't care if you don't like this. You won't have that ability to have the opinions that are causing people stress right now. It will be, your opinion will be given to you. And I know there's some people like, oh, that would never happen. Really? You have examples. Socialism and communism doesn't work. It's forced down your throat and you can't get out of it. I'm sure people wanted to get out of under the foot of Mao Zedong. I'm sure they want to get out of Castro. Nope, never, not going to happen. We own you. We're taking your property. We're taking your businesses. We'll tell you how much you can eat today. And that was before all the auspices of AI and social media. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine how easy it would be to be a dictator today. Your credit cards, nope, I only want them to spend this much this month. Click. Nope, you can't buy those foods. You scanned it with your government, card, and we don't want you having extra ginger snaps. Everything people think is far-fetched, you better realize how close you are. And then when you put it in that perspective, and you think to yourself, could it really get that bad? I bet you, as I show you this picture, hold on, let me just show you this. I bet you.
No volverán a ver hasta que le den los.
Hold on, let me show you. I bet you in this crowd of, I don't know how many people are out there, there are a few people sitting in that crowd going, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do at this point? I have to clap. I have to wave the flag. I don't have any choice. Because if I don't, they may take mom, they may take dad, they may take me, they might take my little brother, and there's nothing I can do. So I want you to think of January 2029 and just imagine if these socialists who have already told you what they want to do. Remember, believe people when they say who they are. They're not even hiding it. That's why some of the other Democrats are like, wait a second, should we really be listening to? Yes. It should scare the living bejeebas out of you. And that way you'll realize, you know what? All the stuff we're arguing about, all the things that we have a problem with, let's go ahead and put those on a shelf and get the Trump agenda done. The Republican politicians don't seem to want to do it. I think we have to make sure we back what President Trump ends up doing because we don't have any choice. It concerns me. It concerns me the more I see people arguing, the more I see people not focusing on the prize, not understanding this is what our objective is. If I had said to you, I don't know, last week, what's the number one objective you want to see President Trump do? Many of you would say lower gas prices, lower housing prices, lower grocery prices, deport everybody. And I'm here to tell you today, those are 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those things that everybody's bitching about don't reach number one. Number one is we have to stomp out this cancer. This insomnia, this toxic tumor has to be eradicated before we can do anything. And if you don't agree with that, if you don't agree that our biggest threat right now is, and I'm pointing to the Nicaraguan people, is these Democrat socialists and what they want to do to us, then you haven't been paying attention. I'm going to show you some of the stuff today about the infighting that they're doing. And finally, you're going to laugh at this one. Finally, they caught Mandami without a teleprompter. Many of you probably haven't seen this. I've been asking for this for probably a year. Tell me what working class means. And I told you nobody wanted to answer that, because when they found out the real answer, then you realize everybody's effed. He is going to define what he considers the working class, and it's going to shock you. I can't put it any plainer. It doesn't matter what we're looking at, but collectively, I want us all to thrive. I want us all to win. And the only way we're going to win, like any team I've ever been on, everybody, all 100 guys on the team, even the guys holding clipboards, everybody had the same damn objective. You may not like how the coach diagrams it out. You may not like that this certain player is starting and you're not. But the bottom line is every single person on a team all knew what the objective was. It was to beat this team this week. And if you don't think your objective is to beat these people, and that's not your number one objective, then you may never see number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. I'm over it. I'm over people complaining. I'm over people trying to put their mantelpiece like this is the most important thing we need to look at. And I'm like, no, it's not. You need to figure out what your number one is and hopefully it aligns with what it should be. Because I don't ever want to wake up one morning and find out somebody like Mandami has said this.
No volverán a haber elecciones. No volverán a haber elecciones. Para que por ahí intenten ellos atrapar el gobierno, atrapar el poder. Y vamos a trabajar con las asambleas nacionales y con las organizaciones correspondientes, las leyes, porque hay que hacer las leyes que les pongan un muro, un bloque a los golpistas, a los vendepatrias, y que por mucha plata que le den los yanquis, no podrán.
By the way, I think that guy just bought a lottery ticket to be number 2 behind Cuba because, well, we can't let that stand either, which is what the Democrats don't like. We're going to be marching through these cities, but I don't ever want to see that in America. I know you feel the same way. All right, SB, what you got, man? Anything out there?
Hola, señor Barry, ¿cómo está?
No electionones. No electionones. We can't have electionones. Oh my God.
No say.
I don't speak Spanish. It's always funny to me because I look like I speak Spanish, so people always walk up to me, say hablas no? No, don't know what the hell
I know enough
saying.
to get around. Like, ¿dónde está el baño?
I can't even do that. I say taco, Chevrolet, you know. Burrito, I got burrito down, everything else, but
burrito.
All right, so what you got here? Number one.
I said a couple of disjointed topics.
Okay, number one. Oh yeah, she was on the hearing this morning. Brooke Rollins. Yes, I like her.
Did you know that Smithfield is the largest pork company in the United States, owned by a Chinese company? That's the one that people were talking about. So
no, I don't know.
So apparently, Brooke Rollins revealed the largest pork company in America is now owned by a Chinese company. I mean, I love Chinese food, but I don't want them to own our food because nefarious things could happen. And she goes, why do they allow this? This is a direct national security threat. Congress must end this. Nearly 85% of our meatpacking capacity is controlled by just 4 companies, including 2 that are foreign owned. Our largest pork company in America is owned by China. It's Smithfield Foods.
Wow.
There are national security implications. I mean, you know, if they want to get us all sick, just takes a little COVID shot. Excuse me. What are you supposed to call it these days? You might have to delete that. Sorry, Barry. The C thing.
The
My
C
bad.
thing. It's funny. SB's talking about that is because, yeah, we still have to be careful what we say because certain people don't like it and everything. And it's going to get. Can you imagine, again, I said about January 2029, what it would be like if they get back in control and how they would send, you'd have to call, you know, the guy who, you know, has stuff coming out of his butt. It really happened. No, it didn't. Yeah, it really did. It really did. Oh my God.
That guy needs a doctor because if he's got mucus dripping out of that, something else is going on. No, that's what it was on a story. He was actually saying that. This guy's deranged.
I know, but I can't take it. I just had lunch before I got on. Oh my God.
Sorry, man. Good way to lose some weight. All right, so here we go. So I spoke about Andy Burnham yesterday. So what a difference a day makes, huh? So the new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, has just approved the U.S. military launching strikes against Iran from UK bases.
Wow.
A little late. We can use it. Great. That's what any ally should be doing. This comes as President Trump spoke to him upon assuming office. Bases include on Diego Garcia and RAF Fairford.
Wow. I almost bet you that's why Starmer is gone. Remember when he flew over there and he met with he's King Charles now and everything. I bet she probably said, hey, you need to get rid of this guy. Because it was shortly after that he was gone. So that
was a very awkward meeting.
Very awkward meeting. And he got rid of him.
So this story, remember how the Democrats said, the election is 100% fair. There's nothing nefarious going on. Well, look at this story. So New Jersey's Democrat governor just admitted that 6,000 non-citizens were registered to vote and 400 illegally voted in elections. We were told this never happened. She blamed it on a glitch. Apparently it was something to do with the DMV, but this is exactly why we need the Save America Act. So glitches.
So here's the response. Here's the response. It's inconsequential. It's only 6,000. It's not a big problem. Come on. I mean, you know that's what they're going to say. They say it all the time, but you know the thing they say never happens just somehow keeps happening over and over and over. I wonder how
do you recall in Georgia? Georgia, there was the difference was only 12,000 so votes between Biden and Trump. Yeah, it's only a couple thousand. Okay, I got you.
How'd they catch it? Did she come out and say it? Hold on, let me see.
She came out.
What's it say?
She came out. She actually did.
She admitted it. So she had to get in front of the story.
Yeah.
Somebody was probably getting ready to drop it, and then she had something to say about it. Next one you have here, I believe.
Trump just put out so this is very interesting. Remember how the Democrats are talking about how his war is the worst. It's taken too long, too many are dead. So Trump brought the receipts. So he basically posted on True Social, Afghanistan war, 20 years, 2,000 dead. Iraqi war, 9 years, 4,600 dead. Vietnam war, 19 years and 5 months, 58,220 dead. Wow. Korean war, 3 years and 1 month, 36,574 dead. Venezuela war, 1 day, 0 dead. They seem to forgot that one. Iran military conflict, 4 months, 18 dead. God bless the troops and pray for their families. I mean, it doesn't matter. You prevent them with facts. They go, next story. What about the Epstein files? You know?
And just let you guys know, I also have his meeting with the Lebanese president and then the Oval Office gaggle that they have there. So I've got that for you guys today, too. Interesting.
So the last thing I have is, so this is kind of big because the White House has touted it all over the place. So the Trump administration cabinet just hit TikTok and apparently they're promoting it. It's got like a beat music in the background, but you can at least just show it.
What do you mean? They just, I don't understand. What Oh, so
they're going to start
other cabinet agencies are going to go on TikTok, is what you're saying?
all of them. Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
they're going to start. They're putting a message out. So it's cool that they have some young White House, was it folks doing the social
Yeah.
media saying get on TikTok, because a lot of the younger folks watch. That's all they watch. That's all they look
Wow.
at.
Wow. Yeah, I know.
This is huge.
My grandson, as I say, was just in town. He's all over TikTok. That's
Yep.
all they listen to. So might as well get them while they're young and get on it for sure.
Yeah, try to reprogram their brainwashed minds. That's all I have for now.
Well, I wonder how that'll work. I know he keeps saying I'm number one on TikTok, but I wonder why he's number one on TikTok. But be interesting. I refuse to even load the app on my phone.
Yeah,
So
me too. I don't never look at it.
I don't know anything.
I won't go on
I
it.
guess I'm a boomer. I'm sorry.
Shame on you, Barry.
Oh yeah.
I
All right,
have
so-
enough time doing X and stuff. So X is my thing. So
All right. Thank you very much for those updates.
all right, talk to you soon.
All right, everybody. Let me talk to you about today's sponsor real quick. One of our sponsors is Brightcore. Microplastics are becoming too much of a problem to ignore. They're in 94% of U.S. drinking water, nearly 90% of our meat and our seafood. And the average American inhales an estimated 68,000 microplastic particles every single day. The EPA recently decided not to include microplastics in the next nationwide drinking water monitoring program, which I have no idea why they didn't, meaning we likely won't have updated data for years, even as microplastic exposure continues to rise. Scientists have already found microplastics in our blood, our arteries, and even our brains. The good news is that new research suggests there are ways to help your body fight back from all these microplastics. And as you look at this chart here, certain probiotic strains found in kimchi have demonstrated the ability to not only remove toxins like BPA, new research is also exploring how these same beneficial bacteria help bind and excrete microplastics before they can do further damage in your body. Kimchi is one of the world's most powerful superfoods, but its strong taste and smell can make daily use a challenge. Kimchi 1 gives you all the benefits of fermented kimchi and an easy-to-take capsule without the mess or the hassle. Each capsule delivers over 900 probiotic strains, live enzymes, and antioxidants that help restore balance in your gut. People are seeing improvements in digestion, bloating, regularity, energy, and metabolism. Studies show that kimchi can even reduce the risk of obesity by 32%. That's a big number there. Today, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link below in the description for 25% off your entire order. Or for an even better deal, you can call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-418-6738.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
I think if you have to work to pay your bills, I think that is one definition of being a part of the working class.
So that's a
Hold on a second. Wait. If you have to work to pay your bills, that would make you a member of the working class. Well, then Elon Musk would be a member of the working class. What do you mean if? If you have to, who doesn't have to work to pay their bills? See, the very fact that he said that should have made every one of you guys go, wait, what do you mean if? So that encompasses everybody. But see, he's off his teleprompter right now. And listen to this craziness.
Everyone with a W-2, is that kind of
1099s too. I think I'm less interested.
So someone making $250,000 a year is working class?
And right there, she's got him. Because now he doesn't have a teleprompter. He's actually having to talk to a New York Times reporter who's probably favorable to him. And he doesn't know how to answer this question right now. It's like, especially in New York. So you're telling me somebody who makes $250,000 is working class? What do I do? What do I say right now? I have to be very careful. And he loses it.
I haven't sat at home and asked myself where it starts and stops.
Who believes that? I haven't sat at home and thought to myself where it starts and where it stops. Your entire platform, the entirety of the Democrat Socialist platform means you guys have gone over numbers over and over and over. And here it is, the basic titular head of the Democrat Socialists. Here we are, he's already mayor, he's already being talked about as a presidential candidate, and they still can't answer one of the two big questions. One of those questions is, what's fair share? Don't know. And number two, what's working class? I haven't really thought about it. Yes, you have. You say it at every speech. We got to protect the working class. We got to make sure that the working class, who's the working class? They can't define these things, and there's one reason why they can't define it. You can't define it because once you define fair share and once you define working class, you've put yourself into a box. You have decided at that point, these are it, working class. I got to be careful here. I haven't really thought about it, though. Yes, you have. Every single one of these socialists. Yes, you have. How do I know you have? Because you can't raise taxes if you don't know who you're going to hit. So, yes, you have. Fair share. What is it? I don't know. It's sort of like porn. I'll know when I see it. They can't answer those questions. But he's going to try.
politically, if you're saying everyone is the working class or anyone that gets a salary is the working class, yes, that opens up your tent. But practically speaking, we are divided by income, and especially if you want to tax people, where you draw those lines matters.
I've drawn it at about $1 million a year.
Okay.
He pulled that out of his rear end. I drew it out $1 million a year. He had to find a number that was high enough to encompass more people, but low enough to where the real rich people, I can still go after you. But right now, his definition today is working class or anybody who makes under $1 million. So he's looking out for everybody who's making under $1 million. Anybody believe that? Anybody at all believe that?
So anyone under $1 million a year in income is working class?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
That's not what I'm saying. Oh, silly reporter. It just came out your mouth. You literally just said it. And then he thought about it after so you're saying anyone making, no, silly. No teleprompter, direct question, fell apart. I applaud her for being that direct with him, and then coming back after he said $1 million. So that's the threshold. No. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Nothing.
In terms of the practicality when it comes to fiscal policy.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
God have mercy on our souls, because this clown show that we're watching happen, this entire Democrat socialist thing, is just one big clown show. And the head clown turned into it. I'm asking you a question. I'm here to do an interview with you. I'm from the New York Times. So you're saying this? No, not at all. So what the hell did you just say? She was asking him to define who is in the working class. He threw out a number. Then she said, that's it? No. So he couldn't even answer that question. This is a group of people, a cadre of communists who can't tell you specifically what they're coming after, because if you knew what they were coming after, you would be freaking out. $1 million wasn't enough. $1 million isn't the threshold. What's working class? I don't know. Well, if you don't know, why do you keep saying it? If you don't know, why does Bernie keep saying it? AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. What the hell are you people talking about? Is there no document on any website, anywhere with the DSA or anywhere that says this is the working class? No, there's not. Because working class to them means people who aren't working. Let's just pull the veil off at this point. That's what they mean. They're going to come for everybody, no matter if you're making 25 or 30 grand a year. They can't exist. It doesn't matter to them. They have to feed their beast. And that beast requires you paying for people who aren't making anything. You know, one of the things that I've always thought is, what the hell does this Medicare for all thing mean? Because we know Medicaid is supposedly the health care for poor peoples. So they're already covered. Have you thought about that? Have you thought to yourself, the real extreme poor in this country get Medicaid? They already get free medical. So what are you saying? You don't want me to have to pay, so you're going to give me universal medical care and just charge me for the subpar care? Does that make sense to you? Have you ever thought about it that way? The poor people already get free Medicaid. Every single one of them that wants it, they get free stuff. So we pretty much already have universal health care. That's not the objective. The objective is to get into your bank account and your payment system. They need to get access so they can pull it out as needed. Well, you just heard Senator Murray talking at the conference. You know, people should be able to do this. We could be feeding people. You're already frickin' feeding them. Is there anybody who deserves SNAP benefits who aren't getting their benefits? Did the money Trump take and go to Iran and do the war? Are there people who are eligible and realistically needing food stamps not getting their food stamps? No, they're still getting their food stamps. I've seen them. You've seen them. Well, we could be helping people with child care. Well, if they need it, who's not getting the child care? Who's not getting the medical attention that they supposedly need? It's already free. This is where it gets scary because most of you probably don't know because you're not the ones that need it. And so when they're saying, you know, we need to give this and all this other stuff, the part that people don't understand is they're already freaking getting it. Have you thought about that? When you see the people with the bus pass and you see the people with the fake EBT card, fake credit card that they use as an EBT, when you see them getting Medicaid, who are they talking about? When they say these people have to make a decision between getting a sandwich and paying for the water. Who? We already help people who can't help themselves, supposedly. But it doesn't stop there. Now, you just heard him say that. Now you're going to see at least one Democrat is realizing he's sounding the bell, and he's letting people know good people are now starting to pay attention. When I say good people paying attention, it's people like you. If you didn't know and didn't think to yourself, yeah, they're already getting the free stuff. Now you realize that they already get the free stuff. Who doesn't get the free stuff that's needed? When you heard her talking at the hearing, hey, she's got to make a decision between this and this. Who? It's all a charade. And listen to what Van Jones says here. I'm sorry, before that, this is Keith Ellison yesterday, as this Democrat civil war is beginning to heat up. So he comes out to a socialist, pep rally, and that ain't good enough. It's not good enough.
And so let me tell you, I used to be the congressperson for the 5th Congressional District. And when I decided to leave that job and become your attorney general, and thank you for that, by the way, I worried, are we going to have somebody who is absolutely take no shit from anybody get into that job? Are we going to have somebody
I don't know what they're yelling, but they decide we're going to eat you. We're coming for you now. I don't know what it is they're yelling, but it ain't good. Here's a Democrat Attorney General of Minnesota, meaning he's one of the crooked ones already, and he ain't crooked enough for these people. Now we got to eat you. The monster has completely turned around. Frankenstein has come home. This is what you guys created. This is what you wanted. Now you never realized they were going to turn around and devour you. Just take down the Democrat Party, and you wanted all these people to be your orcs, and now the orcs have turned around and they're feeding on Democrats.
Thank you. You know what? Let us.
You know what's funny? The people standing behind him don't know what to do. Hey, you told me to come sit here and hang on to these signs and stuff. You didn't tell me I'd have to deal with the orcs myself. What are we supposed to do? They didn't plan on this. These people are more organized than the organizers.
Come on, guys. Okay, I got you, brother. We're going to let them have their moment.
I'm serious. Look at the people on stage. The lady on the far right's like, what are we supposed to do? How do I get back to my car? These people are crazy. I got $50 to come sit in this chair. I don't know what the hell these people are doing. They're serious. We're play actors. We're out here supposed to do this kind of stuff. We're cosplaying. Them people serious. The Democrats have created this, And I think this is where it's headed. Tomorrow's show, I don't know if there's going to be a press conference or anything, but I'm going to go over, Ashley had put up something. I'm going to go over Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. And what's interesting as you will learn about Saul Alinsky is that these people who were nuts, the Ellisons, the Tim Waltzes, they're not nuts enough for these people. They have want to push them aside. We need to take your spot. That's how bad it is.
Thank you, guys. Hey, look, let me tell you, I believe in freedom of expression, so let's give it a hand for our friends over there.
Let's clap for the orcs. I got the signal. Applause, please. Oh, we're all going to applause for the orcs.
They get to be a part of it too. Now,
All right, a quick message to my friends on the far left. Quit pooping in the Kool-Aid bowl and telling us that the turds are ice cubes. They're not ice cubes, and I want to talk about it. I am tired of a set of people on the very far left in the Democratic Party. Ideas that are literally insane.
This is comedic relief. This guy is talking about people on the far left. He was the far left. You are the far left. And now you're freaking out because these people moved the bar way over there. And now you're sick of them. Well, you weren't sick of them when you were talking about them. Oh, yeah, now they want free everything. Now they want, Hamas to kill Israel and do all the crazy stuff. You're like, wait a minute, my donors, I made a lot of money being, supposedly the liberal. And now you're finding out that these people can't be contained. They are off on their own right now. And you're so concerned because I bet you there are a lot of Democrats right now who are sitting back and going, phone's ringing, do something. Do something. You did this. You and Hillary and Obama, y'all did this, and now these people, these kooks are taking over.
Nutty, moronic, dangerous, bigoted, are not progressive. They're regressive, and they should not be in our party.
I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. They say.
See, that's the key. That is the key right now. If people like Van Jones and Bill Maher, whose navigational beacons were all like way over here, if they are now saying, wait a second, wait 1 second here. What the hell is this? That's a Trump voter. He won't ever say it. Van Jones, that's a Trump voter. Stephen A. Smith, that's a Trump voter. Because, first and foremost, the part that everybody likes to overlook, they got a lot of money. Stephen A. Smith, lots of money. Bill Maher, lots of money. They know what's coming for them. These socialists believe what they are talking about. They want to take your assets. It was kind of funny before Trump sucks and let's vote for Kamala. Nothing really is going to change for them. They know that. I mean, all the way since, I don't know, Clinton and then Obama, what really changed for you personally? I mean, we all went to the rallies and we all talked and we all did these things, but what really changed for you? Now imagine you're basically the elite. And then nothing, definitely nothing. You don't even have to ask. They don't care. What, pay a little bit more taxes? No big deal. I'm Bill Maher. I'm probably worth 20 mil, maybe more. I don't care. I'm Van Johnson, or Van Jones, rather. I get all kinds of donor money, millions and millions. I don't care. My life doesn't change. I'm on private jets. I got limos all over the place. I'm LeBron James. I'm fine. What do you mean they want to take everything? Oh, yeah, we're going to take everything. We're going to make it all equal. We got to take from you and give it to these people who aren't working. They're serious? Yeah. And they're winning? They're serious and they're winning. See, it was fine when they were just serious, but now it's serious and they're winning. You think back to when Bernie got booted out by Hillary. They're like, haha, nice, Bernie. Yeah, here, take a couple of houses and get the hell out of here. Now, you can't stop them. We just need to get our act together. All we've got to do is vote them out. All we have to do is stop fighting ourselves. These people can't possibly win. They've pissed off even the people who used to. I'm telling you, even the people on The View. Whoopee? Nope. These people are like, oh my God, you're going to force me to vote for Trump or whoever the Republican is? Yeah. Here's your alternative. Your alternative is broke and no housing. The big mansions? Oh no, we're going to divide that up and put 30 illegals in it. You can't have that 30-room house. That's way too much. You can't stop their march at this point. They had it under control with the Democrats, and they could play act and think that, we're just going against Trump and the Republicans and MAGA and the maggots. Oh yeah, we're playing tennis with insults, but nothing's really going to change. I mean, let's be honest. If Kamala had won, God forbid, what do you think they would have allowed her to do? When I say they, the deep state, what would the deep state really allowed Kamala to do? I think what we're seeing right now is the fear of the deep state. You built this thing in a laboratory someplace, and you gave these people and you shocked them to life, and then they figured out we can actually win. You weren't supposed to win. You were just supposed to sit on the porch and look scary. We still control this. And now these people are feeling emboldened. How do I know this? Because I just watched a debate where a guy went on stage and said he menstruated out of his butt, and nobody said anything. Huh? You didn't just usher this guy off the stage right there? You let this happen? You let the Nazi be the Nazi until you found out he had weenie pics? And then he said, well, let's fix him and get him off. But now Chevalier and all these other people are winning, and they're telling you, we're going to take everything you have. And the elite won't like that.
Things like, takeover of key industries, government, that's communism.
And this comes amid reports of tension between Bernie Sanders and Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader personally calling the socialist senator, telling him to stop meddling in Democratic primaries. But
hey, Bernie, cut it out. Stop this craziness. And Bernie's like, no, we're going after the millionaires. Oh, no, billionaires. We're going after the billionaires. You got our donors all freaked out, bro. You got to back off. No, we're coming now. We've already put out the orders, Soronan or whatever, the evil eye. We're making the orcs. We're marching, and we're winning. See, Bernie's never tasted that before. I mean, he did well himself, but now we're seeing these people win all across the country in blue areas. It's terrifying the Democrats. They thought it was just going to be like Halloween for a while.
Sanders wasn't taking his orders. Over the weekend, Bernie teamed up with far-left Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed for a campaign rally that was a doozy. Watch here.
Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, change is coming. Progressives have been defeating establishment candidates all across America. Now, brothers and sisters, the entire country is watching this election, so there's an enormous responsibility on your shoulders.
Well,
oh, He's feeling it now, brothers and sisters. When did Bernie start saying brothers and sisters? I don't know if he listened to AOC or what, but Hakeem Jeffries was like, cool it. And Bernie's like, we're just getting started. We are just getting started. You and Chucky and Liz, you're done. Me and my cohorts of chaos are about to kick you all to the curb.
I cannot tell you, this phone has been blowing up all day. Governors from both parties, senators from both parties, Democrats in the House calling, thanking me for saying what everybody's been saying behind the scenes, which is that this stuff is going too far. I am a progressive Democrat. You want to talk about prison reform? I've done it as well as anybody, Republican Democrats in the South with Trump. I've done prison reform. I never said have no prisons.
It is July 21st, 2026 as I make this video. You're telling me, Van, you didn't realize your video was yesterday. You didn't realize till July 20th? Hey, shit's got out of hand right now. I mean, this is crazy. They've been saying it all along. Why now is it getting crazy? AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, before she lost, Jasmine Crockett, Pearson, the guy with the big fro from Tennessee, Padilla, they all been saying it. They didn't mean it. It was easy to stand up and do the things they did. Now the panic has set in. These people really are winning. They're really winning at this point, and it's sweeping the country, and the kids are buying into it. And that's why I'm telling you, the differences that we have to be set aside, and we have to coalesce. We are so close to exterminating these people if we just understand the goal. It's crazy.
You're going to put the Klan. I've done police reform. I never said no police. Where are you going to put the pedophiles? Who's going to grab the pedophiles? This stuff is going too far.
I didn't even think about that till he said it. All these people have been screaming about Epstein for like 3 years or whatever, and now all of a sudden, no police. Well, who's gonna make sure that the Epstein type people don't start doing stuff to kids? No, it doesn't matter. We don't need police. Okay, you don't need anything. We don't want to prosecute. We don't want to put people in jail. They are so far to the left at this point. All you're seeing is taillights. And now they can't put this genie back in the box.
Part of the thing that has to happen is we saw what happened in the Republican Party when things started going in a nutty direction and nobody stood up. I am happy that the young people are fighting for affordability, Medicare for all the good things. I've been waiting my whole life to see a youth movement do what it's doing. But it's being hijacked by people who are putting in nutty ideas supporting terrorists, nutty ideas saying that we don't need cops in prison. We can't deport anybody even if they rape somebody. Who said this?
How bad does it have to be that Van Jones and what's the other crazy Cajun, James Carville, they're saying you're too crazy. Imagine you ever would have been sitting in a bar with these radicals and they're like, they're too crazy. We got to do something about them. My phone's been ringing off the hook saying, can you do something about the crazies? Can you kind of like bring the crazies together and make them stop? Nope. You can't at this point. This guy in Michigan, and then who did I see today? Peggy Flanagan, who's running for senator in Minnesota. Every single one of them are taking the same platform. They are all admitting at this point they're all in on Democrat socialism, i.e. communism. There's no such thing as Democrat communism. That's why Mandami was laughing. I don't know, $1 million sounds good right now. I don't care. We're coming for it all. And now you got rich Democrats, elite Democrats, who are starting to say, we got to do something. I find it amazing that Van Jones said my phone was ringing off the hook after I said what I said, when every single one of us on the right have been saying it for months. These people are bat poop crazy. Just now, all of a sudden, your phone's ringing off the hook? Why is that? Why is it that your phone finally rang off the hook? I'll tell you why. They needed someone they could say, get in there, get back in the ring and fight. You see, there hasn't been any other Democrat who they can pick on to go do something. Hillary? She'd get chewed up and spit out. Obama? Nope, they ain't gonna listen to him either. Michelle Obama? No, she's too aloof. She's got a $14 million mansion in Cape Cod and another house in Hawaii. You're all the enemy. That's what they don't understand, is that you built up a facade of being the opposing party when you're the same people. You and I have both said that. Oh, it's a uniparty. Yeah, George Carlin, it's a big party. They ain't invited, big club. But now, for the first time, we're seeing that outsiders are trying to kick in the door to the club, and they don't want membership. They want to strip the chandeliers. They want to sell the silverware. They want to just be like locusts. And that's what's freaking them out at this point. They don't want to be in your club. They don't want to be in the Republican club. They don't want to be in the Democrat club. They've been telling you our designs are to take over the Democrat Party and feed on it like termites. I don't want to be in your club. I want to take your club over, tear it down, and give little pieces of it to everybody else. Now they're afraid. Now they're vulnerable. Now they're not going to have any choice but to come closer to our side, even if they have to do it in secret. There is no way that they have lived their cushy lives on their private jets and their big mansions and their fancy vacations to now having their own party say, we're going to have to take that from you. Now it's hitting close to home. They don't want none of that.
Chevalier. Where does Chevalier?
Chevalier is going to be is yes. The Democratic nominee. Sorry, DSA nominee for Congress now from the Bronx in New York.
I just want to say that there was a shockwave through this party when Mamdani, who everybody's excited about, stabbed in the back Espiat, who was the chair of the Congressional Hispanic.
Okay, let me explain to you what he just said. Espiat, I believe his name, Espillat, Espiat, was the incumbent Democrat running against Chevalier. And he got the shiv, and Chevalier won. That is freaking him out. Like, wait a second, did you really shiv him? Yeah.
Beloved by everybody, who backed Mamdani. Mamdani said, I will back you. Then he turns around, stabs him in the back.
Chevalier.
And backs Chevalier, who has no credentials except she's known for having celebrated October 7th murders of Israelis on October 8th and never apologized.
See, now it hits home. Mamdani was backed by Espiat. Espiat says, okay, I'll go ahead and do this to you. And then he gets in, and what's he do? The very first chance he gets, he tells Espiat, I'm going with her because she's anti this, anti that. And she's everything. Actually, she's everything you're not. She's everything I want. And so now we have to kick you to the curb. You're out, Tom. You're done. Right to his face. There wasn't no backstabbing. They eliminated him. He was in their way, and they celebrated shortly thereafter. And now Van Jones realizes not only these people that we built, are we scared of them, we can't trust them. See, one of the things I'm pretty sure the elites understood, both Republicans and the Democrats, rhinos, MAGA, they all understood, I can count on you, right? You're not going to double, come around and hit me in the back. Yeah, I got you. I got you on this. And now the Democrats are realizing these people want our blood. They'll do, when they say by any means necessary, they really mean by any means necessary. They are going to take anybody out. So right now, you can sit back and look at the carnage, and we could laugh and say, wow, they're eating themselves. Look at the civil war that they're having. But understand, as soon as they're done with the infestation of the Democrat Party, they will turn to us. And they won't care whether you are complaining about what Tucker said or what Candace Owens says or Alex Jones says or HR 9535. They don't care what you think is important. If they did it to them, if the guys like Carville and Van Jones are basically coming out telling you we're afraid of what these people are capable of, where the hell should we be doing? What should we be doing? What should we be concerned about? You got a little bit of time right now. Right now, their focus is on here. Let's go ahead and cannibalize these Democrats. Let's win this seat. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then they're going to turn. And once they get enough power, they've already told you what we're going to do. Democrats didn't believe them. Yeah. Okay, you little socialist. They've already told you. As soon as they are able to turn their sights on us, it may be too late. And that's kind of why I'm trying to tell people we need to come together and destroy these people because they're vermin. We need to eradicate them. We cannot let them turn the corner and look at us and say, you're next. Otherwise, we may end up like the people in Nicaragua. Nah, we're not having elections anymore. Nope, just decided, woke up, didn't like the taste of my oatmeal, and I just decided to walk out here and say, no elections, we're done. President Mandami for life. Be careful. Be careful what you are putting on a pedestal to run with now, because you may not have the chance to change. That's all I'm going to say about that. SV, were you around? There you are. What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on, man? I got a couple stories. Do 6th and 8th and 7. 6 and 8 are connected, and 7's big too. But 6,
So why are you making
7,
me jump around?
that
Okay, hold on. 6.
Well, because you can't move them around once you post them. You know how
Okay,
it is.
here's 6. All right, there we go. What do you got? 6.
All right. So earlier, True Social, President Trump asked 100% of House Republicans to vote yes on the Save America Act and the budget bill vote. He goes, I'm watching the vote very closely and hope Republicans can unify to secure elections.
Stop there. See what I'm saying?
Oh.
You hold on. He said, I want you to unify. I swear I didn't know he was posting that, but this is what's most important. Put it all aside at this point and get it done. We can argue about the other stuff later. We can argue that you don't want this, you don't want that. But at this point, we got to have this. All right, go ahead.
Let's come together. There's a Beatles song in there somewhere. Can unify to secure elections against all forms of foreign country interference in illegal alien voting. Thank you to all the House Republicans who are supporting the first step towards getting as much of the Save America Act as possible in the budget bill, and to our great speaker, Mike Johnson. I am asking all House Republicans to vote yes on this very important budget resolution. Get it done. All right, so that was about an hour ago. And then Clandestine Cut 8 just posted this literally like 10 minutes ago.
Number 8. Okay, I'm jumping down here. And
we got a good system now, folks.
Yeah.
I actually have the date. And it works well. All right, so he just wrote about this. He actually included President Trump's True Social. It appears the next step is to try to pack some of the main pillars of the Save America Act into the budget bill, which is not subject to filibuster, needing only a simple majority. Even if they manage to do this, I still want U.S. military and ICE at polling stations to secure elections. If Congress failed to get the job done, I am still not worried about it because I know Trump and the U.S. military will not leave it to chance. The more steps to secure elections, the better. But ultimately, I think it will come down to the U.S. military. Insurrection Act.
Which is why it was so important, this hearing today, because I wanted to hear some of the Democrats. They know what's coming. There's not a whole lot of people who are going to be surprised with what's coming. It's definitely coming.
Pete's dropping from Mike's, by the way, man. There's a lot of stuff I'm seeing coming up. We'll probably have to play that later. He's dropping mics all over the place. All right, so this story here, this is, again, for the people who say Kash Patel is doing nothing. Well, let's check in and see what he just did. FBI just arrested most wanted fraudster Khalid Ahmad Satari, who fled overseas after orchestrating a $574 million Medicare scheme. Let's effing go. Arresting every fraudster is exactly what I voted for. He's been on the run for years, not any longer. Patel goes, the arrest of Khalid Ahmad Satari and return to U.S. is the third most wanted fraudster captured from this FBI and our partners in just 5 weeks, continuing the historic run of success for this new initiative. Satari was indicted in 2019 on charges of healthcare fraud conspiracy, allegedly stealing $547 million from 2016 to 19 by fraudulently billing Medicare for expensive and medically unnecessary genetic tests, using deceptive marketing campaigns, illegal kickbacks, and bribes. Holy moly. Satari has been on the run since 2022, but we got him thanks to great work and coordination from the interagency and our overseas partners. Director Kash.
What do you find most compelling about what you just read there? I won't put you on the spot. Let me just
No, I was going to say there's a lot to unpack. I mean, for me, I'm going to be going on Medicare. I'm glad I have some more money.
Okay, so first of all, have any of you ever heard of Kid Creole and the Coconuts? Kid Creole and the Coconuts was a band back in the 80s, and they had a hit song called Stool Pigeon. Cha, 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 cha.
I get where you're going.
So,
singing like a canary.
Is somebody somewhere or a group of people are cutting deals left and right. So you're telling me this guy has been basically on the run since 2019. They said 2022, but he's been on the run for years. And they just happened to, pluck him out of some, where was he? Doesn't say where he was, does it? Where did they find him?
By the way, scroll down. Look at the size of him. He looks like he's not been eating too well. So maybe he's been living on some island.
He was in some hole somewhere, and they somehow found a way to go in and extract him from whatever hole he was in. And what I find interesting to me here is, who was president in 2019? Come on.
That was Trump.
Yeah. So Trump indicted, the Trump administration indicted this guy in 2019. And then all of a sudden 2020 comes, and just like everything else, Merrick Garland, Biden, they just let it go. They just let it completely go. We had this guy, he was indicted while in the first Trump administration, and now they went and found him somewhere. So you have to wonder at this point, are they just going back through old Trump indictments and going, we got this guy? No, they let him go too. And they're just finding these people one at a time, locking them up. Oh man.
Yeah.
And then
I was zooming in, looking at the most wanted poster. So what am I seeing? So they offered up to $150K reward. Somebody got a reward. It wasn't me.
So somebody got a bigger award than $150K. They got the award of we'll cut some years off your sentence if you give me a bigger fish. Okay.
Exactly.
I know where some guys hold up in the Philippines. Okay, it's this guy here, and 570.
Over $500 million.
The numbers don't make sense. And it's going to dovetail off to a story I've got in a little bit in terms of what Scott Bessent said today.
I saw that. Yeah,
you saw that. And so this is going to be they're tracing the money basically. But I'll show you guys.
But
not
only that, Barry. Not only that, but they're turning off the spigot too. Yeah. The one if you're talking about, you'll cover it in a second. Yeah, I love it. Bessent's doing such a great job. I mean, he was a great pick. He still is a great pick. But I'm saying he's doing an awesome job. I love it.
Yeah. And before that, I'm going to play the Oval Office thing today. So let me go to next break here, and then we'll go into the Lebanese president. Thank you.
See you soon.
Medicare is confusing, as you know. And one of the people that we've been working with is Chapter. Chapter's been very good. And as someone who, not recently, but turned 65 last year, I can confirm this. Keeping track of enrollment periods, understanding all your options, and making sure you're on the right plan takes too much time and energy. And between Medicare scams, corrupt agents, and bloated insurance companies, it's easy to make mistakes that can cost you literally thousands. That's why I'm happy I worked with the guys at Chapter. They're actually honest, and the only Medicare advisor that looks at every plan nationwide, helping people save an average of $1,100 a year, almost $100 a month you can save. And they won't put you into some plan or switch you into something that you can't afford or don't want. The support is completely free. So if you're turning 65 soon or have questions about your Medicare coverage, call them at 475-328-3545 or go to askchapter.org/Barry to book your appointment. Come on, you can get the best out of Medicare dealing with Chapter, and most people simply wish they had called sooner. All right, let's listen to President Trump in the Oval Office this morning.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be with the president of Lebanon. He's highly respected in his country and actually long beyond his country. We've spoken previously on numerous occasions through representatives, and the relationship is very good. I think that Lebanon has been a very mistreated country for a long period of time. It's an amazing group of people, professors, doctors, lawyers, great intellects, and it's been hit hard for many, many decades, really. It's been hit very, very hard. And yet I have people that live in Lebanon, people that are parents or friends of mine, many cases, and they would never leave. They would not leave under any circumstance. They love it. They love the country, and it's probably a dangerous place in a lot of ways, but they live in areas, they say, we hear bombs going off all the time, but we want to live in Lebanon. They love the country. Very smart people, very successful people, and they live there. But it's been a country of great intellect, great intellectuals. They still love it. They want to be there. And we're going to help it. We're going to help it a lot. So it's an honor to have the president and your representatives here. We've already met a couple of times, and we've had some good meetings. And we are going to solve a lot of problems. We've already solved some of them for Lebanon. As you know, there's a Hezbollah problem, but we've done some things that I think the world will take notice. Again, it's been a very badly treated place and country, and we're going to have it properly treated and treated with respect that it deserves. And Mr. President, it's an honor having you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Thank you
I've
very
been
much.
looking forward to this visit for a long time.
Thank you very much.
Meeting such a great president like yourself.
Well, that's a very nice thing. See, he knows how to get to me. He can have anything. Now he can have anything. Would you like to say something?
Now, really, I would like to thank President Trump, really, and his team for the historic visit and for the historic achievement that we did together by signing the framework with the ultimate objective of ending the state of hostility between Lebanon and Israel forever. I think, Mr. President, this will be your legacy. Together, we'll be able to achieve this objective. It's about time for Lebanon and for the whole region to be stable and secure. And I know your vision is peace, your vision is stability, and I think my vision coincides with your vision. And together, I think we will be able to achieve and to score success in that regard.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. And you have tremendous spirit on your side. You have people that love that country, and they're going to make it work.
We're going to make it work.
Right. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, Lebanon, I have two questions, one for you. President Trump, as you work to expand the Abraham Accords, Lebanon still enforces a 1955 law criminalizing contact with Israel for over 70 years. You previously stated you would push Lebanon on this issue. And there is some people still going to prison last month. So did you raise it you will raise it with President Trump today?
Well, the Abraham Accords have been I think, a tremendous success. I think you're going to see a lot of countries joining pretty soon. As you know, we have our original group, and it's so successful for them. Economically successful. It's been that. Nobody left, even during this time of conflict. So, no, I think Lebanon has a very important place.
What is your level of concern of a blockade of the Red Sea by the Houthi rebels, opening up another front?
Well, we'll have to see what happens. So far, it hasn't happened. It might happen. But we take care of things. If something like that happens, we take care of it. You know, we've done that with the Houthis before, and we haven't heard from them in a while since we did what we did originally. That was about 45 days of very powerful action we took against the Houthis. And we've had no problem with the Houthis. They've had no problem with us for a long period of time, including during this conflict. I think that if there is something like that, we'll just have to take care of business.
The Speaker of the Lebanese Parliament rejected the agreement between Lebanon and Israel and said it's a sedition. It's going to cause civil war. He's the Speaker of the Lebanese Parliament, and he speaks for Hezbollah. He's Hezbollah's big brother. Yeah. What do you have to say about that?
Well, maybe I'll let you speak to that.
Actually, the framework doesn't require the endorsement of the Parliament. Okay, it's part of our constitution. It's a prerogative of the president, and we are committed to it. And I think the Speaker of the Parliament is really wants to see the end of this war. He's from the south, and he knows he did his best to rebuild the south. But unfortunately, the south being destroyed in front of his eyes. So he's actually supportive of what we are doing, but we need to be careful. His position as a speaker and as a leader of the Shia community, we have to understand how critical is his position. But I can tell you that Speaker Berri is a man of state. He's supportive of what we are doing, and he's supportive of ending the state of hostility, ending the war once for all.
Just one thing. I think when he sees, because I've heard that he's a good person, good man, and when he sees the progress made, I'm sure he's going to come on.
From Lebanon, from LBCI TV from Lebanon. I have two questions, please. When will the Israeli army fully withdraw from Lebanon? Is there a clear timeline for that? And last question, please. Last week you met with the Iraqi Prime Minister and discussed him or described him as handsome and saying he could become one of the best leaders in the Middle East. How would you describe?
Which one are we talking about?
The Iraqi Prime Minister. Yes. How would you describe President Joseph?
Well, I'd say he's handsome also, and I think he could become one of the most important leaders in the Middle East, actually. We do this because they've been trying to do this for decades, right? Decades and decades. So if I made that statement about somebody else, I would put him in the same category.
When the Israeli army withdraw from Lebanon? When the Israeli army withdraw from Lebanon? Is there a clear timeline?
They're in the process of doing that. They're in the process of redeploying to other sections. And again, they get along very well. That was a great agreement they signed with Lebanon, and they're redeploying.
Is there a
Mr. President, the Lebanese army needs help, and the United States said that it's very important for the Lebanese army to take over the villages that Hezbollah withdraw from. How are you going to help them, and how does
we're going to be speaking about that today.
Making sure that you will be in the
We'll be
south
speaking
as well.
about that today with your president, and we have some very concrete plans already in store for that, with others going in and helping. But they're also becoming much more self-sufficient. And we will be speaking about that. That's one of the subjects we're going to be talking about.
My question is, the Lebanese army said today that Israeli forces opened fire in proximity to the Lebanese trying to deploy in one of these pilot zones. This is day 2 of the pilot zones. Are you prepared to take any additional steps to put pressure on Israel to withdraw, which I believe President Aoun is planning to ask you?
Well, I'll look. I just heard about that before this conference just happened, and we'll be looking at that. Yeah.
Mr. President, there are no signs that Iran is ready to stop fighting. So what is the plan? Is the plan to just keep bombing until
How would you know if there are no signs? What, you know something that I don't know?
Well, they continue to attack our allies.
You don't know what the dialogue is behind the scenes, that they want to meet desperately to try and end it because they're getting decimated. You don't get that when you listen to your fake station, but You don't know. You don't know anything.
So talks are
You know
still
something that I
possible,
don't
likely?
know. Do you know something I don't know?
Well, tell us.
I will tell you. They want to desperately meet, and until they're ready to meet in a meaningful way, we have no interest in even.
So
Mr. President, are you planning on putting any pressure or consequences on China for what you announced about them meddling in the 2020 election?
Well, we're going to talk to them about it. It took place a long time ago. I think China's maybe a little bit different today than it was then. But look, they do things. It's not a one-way street, but we'll be talking to them. Yeah.
Mr. President, something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but Border Patrol reported 14 consecutive months, no releases at the southern border. This is something that you talked a lot about on the campaign trail that you couldn't run on the job you did on the southern border. Do you feel similarly at this point in time with midterms, considering how well the job you've done? What is the lesson you've learned about Border Patrol?
Well, thank you for that question. The fact is, and maybe it pertains a little bit with respect to you and borders and everything else, we had a border that was totally out of control. I probably won the election, at least partially, on the border, would you say? And the border now, we literally in 14 months, I think it came out this morning, actually, it was just announced, that in 14 months we had nobody coming through, zero people. I have to say, millions came through, and we had zero people come in illegally into our country. And that's made by people that happen to be Democrats, largely Democrats, the people that do those stats. And I'm sure they don't like saying it, but we really had virtually nobody coming in, and they actually say nobody, not even virtually. So it's amazing what's happened there, and very people talk about that anymore. You know, they don't like talking about that. They don't like talking about Venezuela, where we lost no people. I'll be going to Dover for something that I feel it's a great honor for me to do it. These are people that want it, and they feel like I do, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. It's a very simple dictum. They cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't have. They're not going to. They have no chance of having a nuclear weapon. And as far as Iran is concerned, I'll let Pete maybe say a couple of words, but we are doing very well. We are degrading them at levels that nobody thought was possible. They're being degraded really so seriously. They did slip something through in Jordan, and if we had other operators, would not happened, unfortunately. But because we have the best equipment in the world, we've stopped almost everything. But when you let other people do your job, with the United States, we let other people do the job, and sometimes it doesn't work out so well. But we're going to be going and paying our respects at Dover. Pete, would you like to say just how we're doing, generally speaking?
Well, it'll be an honor as well to join you at Dover to recognize these incredible Americans who committed to the cause just like you are. Something no president's been willing to do. 47 years, they build up a conventional capability like the North Koreans did. Remember, that's how North Korea made their way to a bomb. So much weaponry that no one was willing to stand up to them. President Trump was, and he continues to this day. Iran's been given every opportunity to negotiate. To show that they're reasonable on the Strait of Hormuz. But if they're going to shoot at commercial shipping, then we're going to hit them, as the president said, 10 times harder, which every night we're degrading them further and further. And the president they can talk, otherwise they can deal with the War Department. And
the blockade is up and fully, it's, nobody gets through. Nobody gets through the blockade. It's like a steel wall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday there was another attack on an ICE facility, this time in New York City. What, in your view, is prompting these attacks, and do you have a message for those who are attacking ICE?
You're talking about the fire that was set in front of the federal building? Well, this is what's happening with the people that they allowed to come into our country. They shouldn't have allowed them to come in. They shouldn't be here. They're radical lunatics, and I'm getting them out. We're getting them out at a pace. We've gotten rid of more than any other president. I read stories. They try and give you phony stats. I was with Tom Homan this morning. He'll give you the statistics if you want, but we're getting bad people out of our country at levels never seen before. There's never been a time when more bad people, and you take a look just here in Washington, we took out almost 5,000 hard-line, hardcore criminals, most of whom came in during the open border periods of the previous administration. An amazing statistic, and this is something that I hate to be talking about in front of the president of Lebanon, but he's got his problems and they're different problems, but we don't have any problems in Washington, D.C. We've wiped out about 92% of the crime, and we're going to get very close to, I believe we're going to get close to 100% of the crime. And if you take a look at this city, compare this to what it was 15, 16 months ago, this was a dangerous city. I don't know how, I better not compare it to Lebanon because I don't exactly have your stats, but it might have been Lebanon was safer. This was a dangerous city under the previous administration, Biden, and now it's a very safe city. There was an article that came out 2 days ago that Washington, D.C. has made the greatest progress of any city in the nation. Now, Memphis also, and New Orleans also. And if they would ask us for help in Chicago, we would turn that around so fast. If they'd ask us for help in New York, we would turn that around so fast. Los Angeles, we would turn that around so fast. But the stat that's so amazing is that 2% of the people create 91% of the crime. Think of that. It's a great stat. Because if it was 70% of the people, that's a problem. If it was 20%, that's a 2% of the people create 91% of the crime. Think of that. 2% of the people, you can handle that easily. So Washington, D.C. is now one of the hottest cities in the country. We have the hottest country in the world. But Washington is now hot. And I do have to say one other thing. We just had the World Cup, as you know very well. And it was the most successful World Cup ever. We didn't even have a protest. We had no crime. With all those events, was like having many, many Super Bowls. Each one was like a Super Bowl. And with all of that, we didn't have crime. We didn't have bedlam. Everybody left here with a different opinion than what they read in the fake news. They love this country. I saw Scotland. I saw Norway. I saw all these countries. I mean, the level of love that nobody wanted to leave. And I just want to congratulate everybody, the job that we did, and all of us, everybody in this room, because everybody in this room was involved. The vice president was very much involved. It was amazing. I was with Johnny the other day. The job he did is great, but he said he never thought in a million years it could be so free of any difficulty. Think of it. We didn't even have a protest. Not only no crime. Now, there's a reason for all this, but part of it was that people just wanted to pull together. This country, for like a 4-week period, just pulled together. Really amazing. And I didn't want to say it before the final. I didn't want to say how well it was doing. I wanted to get the final up with, because you never know. It only takes... But we just had the most successful World Cup in history. Did 5 times the business of any World Cup in history, and I can't wait to get him back, but I think we won't be able to get him for the next one.
Mr. President, here, especially with this upcoming.
Say what?
Do you feel safe, especially considering the effects on your life?
I feel safe. Why wouldn't I feel safe?
President Trump
I don't know if you heard that, but one of the stupidest questions I've ever heard anybody in the media ask the president: do you feel safe? But I don't know what they were even implying at that point. And even Trump said, why wouldn't I? You know.
I'm Pedro Mani from Al Jazeera. Are you still speaking with Hezbollah? You said in previous interviews that you're speaking with Hezbollah.
Well, I don't want to say that, but I would speak to Hezbollah. Yeah. I speak to everybody. I'll speak to people that a lot of people think I shouldn't be speaking to, and things work out.
I would speak to Mr. President,
I would say this: if the president wanted me to speak to Hezbollah, you know, he's lived with Hezbollah for a long time. And if the president wanted me to speak to Hezbollah, I would. You know, I would.
Mr. President, follow on Iran. If the Iranians do not make a deal, ultimately, how long will it take for you to stamp out their threats to the Strait and enable full shipping?
So if we left right now, it would take around 20, 25 years to rebuild. Okay? And we're not finished at all. But if we left right now, it would take them a long time, years to rebuild. But we're not leaving right now. So we've had a big impact on Iran. If we didn't do what I did with regard to two things, the Iran nuclear deal done by Barack Hussein Obama, I terminated that. If I didn't terminate it, you wouldn't have Israel right now because they would have had a nuclear weapon years ago. And if we didn't do the B-2 bombers, knocking out the nuclear sites a year ago, one of the first things we did early in the administration, they would have a nuclear weapon, and you wouldn't have Israel, and in my opinion, you wouldn't have various other countries in the Middle East. They'd all be gone. They would have been terminated, extinguished. But I believe that by doing what we did, by terminating Iran, who's very evil people leading that country. You saw the number of protesters that they killed, 52,000 plus. I put a couple of them up today, young kids, they kill them. They kill them like they're candy. It's crazy what they do. They treat them so badly. They're just killing people just at random. Over 52,000 people, and nobody talks about it. But if I didn't do the attack on their nuclear sites, or if I didn't terminate the Obama agreement with Iran, which was an absolute hit on having them that was a road to a nuclear weapon. And our deal will be a wall. It already is. They can't have a nuclear weapon right now. It would take them years to produce it. And we will absolutely attack the new site that they're talking about. I mean, how about these people? They're in this because of nuclear weapons, and they're trying to possibly reconstitute a site. We'll hit that site. Any site where they're even thinking about nuclear, we'll be hitting it very, very powerfully. Now, nobody knows, except the Iranians, the damage that we've done to them. We have done damage that will take them 20, 25 years to recover from. So if we left tomorrow, we had a big success. But we're not leaving tomorrow.
Their ability to threaten the street, though, that's the question.
There's a bill right now that's being considered that would allow illegal aliens who are working in farming to get legal status. Do you support that legislation?
I don't know about it. I'll take a look at it.
All right, so that was the HR 9535 question. You heard President Trump, and she even posed it incorrectly. It's not, never mind, I'm not going to get into it, but there's been a big hoopla lately about it, and you heard him answer it. I'll take a look at it, i.e., that's presidential talk for none of your business right now. So obviously there's something going on behind the scenes, but nonetheless, he addressed it.
Last night, the Canada tariffs. One, are those a response to the wildfires?
No. That's separate. We're looking at that separately.
And what is there anything?
It's only a response to the way they've treated our farmers and our people. Yeah, Canada's been very, very tough on us over the years, for many years, and no other president's done anything about it. I love Canada. I love the people of Canada. Many friends that live in Canada, but their leadership, from Trudeau to the current leadership. I mean, in all fairness to them, they need us to survive. Without us, there's no way they can survive. So, but they've been very, very tough over a period of the last 50 years, actually.
On Syria, Tony Murad, ABC ITV from Lebanon. Do you still support Syria entering Lebanon to disarm Hezbollah?
You mean coming in and doing something with Hezbollah?
Yes.
Well, it's a concept, we get along very well with the president of Syria. He's done a very good job. I wouldn't be surprised if this gentleman's going to do a job just like that. He's done a very good job. He's pulled Syria together. He would like to come in and do something with Hezbollah. They've been fighting. He's been fighting Hezbollah for a long time. I think it'd be very effective. So it's something I think.
Tariffs, you increased the tariffs on Canada yesterday. Can you say if you still expect to impose tariffs on the wildfire problem? And can you say...
We're looking at that. A lot of damage has been done. They're not managing their forests properly, and the wind has a tendency to blow right over New York City, right over... You saw Detroit, they had to close the whole place. Michigan was really affected. They had to close businesses for 4 days. It's very serious what they're doing, and They don't seem to be able to do anything about it. If they managed their forests, they wouldn't have the fire.
Do you believe that Iran is trying to impact the midterm elections by threatening the Strait of Hormuz?
Probably. They won't have any impact on me. I'm just going to do the right thing. I don't view it as, gee, we're having an election in a period of time. You know, everyone says, oh, I'm doing something before. No, the election, I can't think about that having to do with this. I think people are very impressed. I mean, we took over Venezuela. We now have a great relationship with Venezuela. We went to war with Venezuela, and the war ended in one day. And we have now an incredible relationship with Venezuela. We're taking out millions of barrels of oil. They're making more money now than they ever made before, ever. And we're making a lot of money. We paid for the war many times over with Venezuela. We lost nobody. We lost nobody. We didn't lose one. And it was a violent attack. As you know, we took out a man who was a very evil man. What he did was very evil, in many different ways. We took him out. But, you know, Venezuela, they said the same thing. When I did Venezuela, everyone said, because look at the drugs, look at what they did, where they took all of their prisons, they opened up their prisons, and they have everybody in a prison come in through Biden's absolutely insane open borders policy. And we did that in one day, think of it. And now we are working very closely with the administration, and we get along very well. Venezuela is a very happy place. Had a tragic incident with the event that took place a a week ago. What a terrible thing that was. They had a movement, a shifting of earth that was unbelievable. They've never seen anything like it. A lot of people were killed. So it's all unrelated. But by the way, we were the first ones there to help. We were there to help Venezuela. It was an earthquake, I guess you'd call it. It was a pretty massive earthquake. And we were able to do a lot of good. But they lost a lot of people. Venezuela, the people are so happy that we're there. The jobs, everything's happening. And we're taking out many, many times the money that we spent on the war. This one, Iran is bigger. It's a more complex situation, but we're probably doing equally as well if you look at the damage that's been done. And again, as I said to the young man that just posed the question over here, if we left today, it would take them decades to rebuild, and I don't believe they could ever rebuild. And honestly, they haven't seen anything yet. We've been nice. Haley
Wool, Scripps News. Thank you for the question. Do you believe that Iran has moved nuclear centrifuges into Pickaxe Mountain? And when you say we're not done yet, what is left to finish?
Well, I think that they may have. We don't have it on record. All we do is read the fake news. You know, we so maybe this one they have right, but it's okay. It doesn't mean anything unless they have the material. You're talking about the centrifuges. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything unless they have the material. They don't have. We follow the material. That's where the action is, and we'll be hitting that area probably pretty soon. And there's not a thing they can do about it. Normally I wouldn't say that. If I thought they could do something about it, I would never say that. But we'll be hitting that area pretty soon, and very heavily.
Please go ahead. President Trump, 2 years ago during the campaign, I interviewed you and you told me on MTV Lebanon that the peace will happen in Lebanon. And every word you said during the interview, it's happening today. Like from the first day in the administration, you were working hard for peace.
It's true. Because I understood Lebanon. And I understood how horribly Lebanon has been treated as a country. They've been like a whipping post. What's happened with Iran and with Hezbollah. But Lebanon's been treated very incredibly badly. And maybe I'm a little prejudiced in favor of Lebanon because I have so many Lebanese friends.
You're not at all.
Well, no, but there's so many Lebanese friends. And so I understand Lebanon. Tom Barrack is Lebanese, the ambassador.
Regarding the Lebanese army, President Trump, does the Lebanese army currently have the funding, equipment, and manpower necessary to implement the agreement or you are asking today President Trump for additional U.S. assistance today to do the job?
Definitely, with the support of President Trump, and we spoke on the phone, and I told him I need two things from you: political support and supporting of the LAF, which is the LAF is the most trusted institution in the country, and it has the most powerful weapon, which is the trust of the public. Like any armed forces in the world, the Lebanese armed forces is the backbone of security and stability. We need to support the LAF. The LAF maintain the country safe and stable. Without the LAF, everything will collapse. We don't want that. I think President Trump doesn't want that. In 1975, the first institution to collapse was the LAF. And as a result, we saw the emergence of many local militias, and the South was empty, allowing the Palestinians to roam the South and launch attack against Israel. We don't want to see that back again. All we're asking is keep supporting the LAF. And they know that the LAF is doing a great job, performing its duty to the fullest. I fully trust the LAF. I fully trust the leadership of the LAF.
We will have
They did a great step forward with the recent signing with Israel. That was a big step.
Are you going to allow direct flight from America to Lebanon again?
I can see that happening, absolutely.
Question for President On. Tony Murad from MCI TV. So Ambassador Isa, the U.S. Ambassador to Lebanon, Isa, told me that the President On will not leave Washington empty-handed. What concrete outcomes will you bring back to Lebanon?
You'll find out. Thank you all very much. We're doing very well with Iran. We're doing unbelievably with the economy. We have investment. As you know, Toyota is coming in with the biggest plant, I understand, anywhere in the world. They're leaving Mexico. They're coming into our country. It's going to come into Texas, to be specific. We have more plants under construction now than at any time, by far, by many times. We have over $19.2 trillion being spent in America, and they're going to be opening up in a year and a half. And there has never been a time like this in America. Truly, it's the golden age of America. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I personally love that he closed in that manner, that this is the golden age of America. I had posted something earlier today because somebody gave me a really nasty comment and said it was disgusting how much I referred to finances and prosperity. And I'm like, I'm not sorry. I am not sorry because, and here's the one reason why I'm not sorry. I voted for this particular president 3 times because he said over and over and over again, almost in every single campaign speech, make America safer again. Make America healthy again. Make America wealthy again. And then, of course, make America great again. He closed almost every single rally with that statement. And of course, what I took from that was, well, if he makes us safer and he does as much as he possibly can for us to be healthier, and that's something we have to do ourselves as well. So if we're going to be safer and we're going to be healthier and make America wealthy again, it was a cornerstone of what he spoke about. And so for the life of me, once again, I can't understand how people don't get it. Every time he has a talk, he's like, hey, that guy over there, oh, he's got a lot of money. Oh, yeah, he's got a lot of money. Oh, he talks about it all the time. So if you don't like hearing about prosperity, why did you vote for the guy who said, I want to make America wealthy again? I've never understood that. People ask me all the time, Barry, why are you're like the only one who keeps talking about prosperity? Because the guy who we voted for said, I'm going to make America wealthy again. I'm going to provide opportunity. I'm going to provide programs. I'm going to get government out of your way so that I can make America wealthy again. I'm like, I'm just following the road that this man is plowing. Yep, you're right. Golden age. I am so ready. I am so ready to participate and grab as much of the golden age as possible. And I know I'm not alone. I feel like sometimes I struggle uphill with this audience or some of the people in the audience who just don't get it. Maybe they never made it through the entire 2 hours or so of President Trump's rally and they never heard the close. Maybe I'm going to clip that for tomorrow so you guys can just remember, we're going to make America blank. We're going to make America blank. We're going to make America wealthy again. Healthy, wealthy, safe, great. And you voted for him. And now all of a sudden it's a bad thing to say? How is that possible? So before I close, I have another segment for you, but let's look at something, because along those lines, with everything else that's going on, President Trump talking about make America wealthy again, look at that. It's all green. Stock market was up 385, S&P up 65, NASDAQ up 329, NASDAQ 100 up 550, Dow gains nearly 400 points, S&P 500 snaps three-day losing run as chips stock rise. And then there's an article down here I just found very interesting. Goldman Sachs is creating a completely private market platform so rich investors seek the next SpaceX and Stripe. Stripe, if you don't know who Stripe is a payment processing for people who have blogs and merchandise and things of that nature. It was an easy way for people to be able to accept credit cards. And now these things are exploding and people are actually enjoying the golden era. All I can do is continue to try and pump people up and show them this is indeed the golden era. I've never seen anything like it. Yet there's so many doomsayers out there. Don't listen to them. Focus. To that end, before it gets too late here, Scott Bessent went on Maria Bartiromo's show this morning and was talking about what he was doing with tracking the money. Like we just showed, SV showed you that one guy who stole $575 million. We're starting to really, really clamp down on these people.
We've got breaking news right now. The Treasury Department announcing the successful implementation of a new government-wide payment verification process. The process designed to help stop federal payments being sent to deceased individuals. The department identifying nearly 5,000 payments worth approximately $99 million, all linked to dead people and deceased payees. Joining me now is the Treasury Secretary himself, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Secretary, thanks so much for spending the time. Can you walk us through the Treasury implementing this new safeguard to stop payments to deceased people? How significant an issue has this been?
Well, wait. Think about what she just said. Hey, have you been successful in stopping payments to dead people? What a problem to have. Only in America could we have a problem where dead people were getting paychecks. For how long? We don't know. But 5,000 of them have been collecting nearly $100 million. Now, there's got to be people on the other end of those deposits. If they've been going out for years to all these dead people, well, the dead people, they don't need an EBT card. They don't need a credit card. They don't even need checks. But somebody has been getting this money, and I guarantee you they've chased these people down.
Maria, good morning, and good to be with you. And look, this is part of what President Trump calls his common sense agenda. It's common sense. And President Trump issued an executive order for us to be able to go to the do not pay, to have it interact with the Treasury payment systems. And as a result, so far, we've saved about $100 million, payments that didn't go to deceased people and that would have gone out. We think that there's up to $350 million that we can stop.
The numbers at this point are staggering. 350 here, 600 here, billionaire. Somebody was just throwing this money out. They were collecting it from Americans, and as fast as it was coming in, it was going out 6 or 7 different doors. We've been stolen from for years. The Democrats don't even want to acknowledge it. They don't even show up for the hearings. What fraud? I don't know about any fraud. Can we get the poor people some more food?
For the end of this year, and that goes along with the Vice President's task force on eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. The GAO estimates that it might be, this number might be up to $500 billion, which is about 1.66% of GDP. So that could go a long way towards paying down the debt, providing more services, and this is just the start, Maria.
Wait. 500 billion is just the start, huh? That's just where we're starting right now. We got so much fraud to go through. We have so many dead people to collect from. That's just the start. And no Democrat wants to even discuss this. It has never come up. None of the commies, they're not going to talk about the fraud. They just want to keep taking more. It's amazing.
It's incredible. I mean, for all of the fighting that we see back and forth between the Republicans and the Democrats about governing and about allocating capital and spending money on projects, to think that there's all these millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars that have actually been, on the cutting room floor because of fraud and waste that people just weren't paying attention to. I mean, is that all it is, that people didn't look and investigate this the way President Trump has directed his agencies to?
Well, look, in the Biden administration, HHS got rid of about 50 or 60 of the people who were charged with monitoring fraud. And Maria, what's important here is that we are stopping the money from going out. So once the money gets out, trying to retrieve it is very, very difficult. So stopping it at the source here is our goal. And Maria, there's hundreds of billions of dollars here, and this is the start. We are off to a great start. You're seeing the Vice President.
Not enough people hear this. Not enough people are watching Fox Business and CNBC, and these news channels, especially the liberal ones, won't touch this. I got Fox on in front of me, and they're talking about dogs at the park and stuff. Nobody's talking about hundreds of billions of dollars have been stolen. Why don't they want people to know this? Why do they not? Why is this not news number one every single night? Like I've said before, like they had the COVID tracker and like how many people got sick and everything else, and it would go up. Why aren't we having trackers on every single station that says we've just found another $100 gazillion? They don't want America to know. The more Americans that know, the more Americans will like, no, this whole tax thing, we're going to have to talk about it. We're going to have a big conversation about this April 15th thing you got going on. You've been doing this for like forever, and you've been taking it out of their paychecks, and they'll have no choice. Their boss just takes this money out of your account. You never see it. It never touches your hands. And now you're telling me, yeah, for years we've been stealing you blind. And nobody wants to discuss it. Nobody.
Task force, they unearth things, all across the healthcare system too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we've got a spotlight on it, and we're covering it because this is incredibly important, particularly as many in Congress complain about debt and deficits. Here you have real efforts to actually save and eliminate fraud and waste and abuse. But I want to get your take on the war and the economic pressure that you have been putting on Iran at Treasury. You've said that the Treasury is fighting an economic war against Iran, and you've done sanctions against Iran. I want to get your take on that. You put major sanctions on Iran's shipping empire earlier this month, sanctioning a network tied to Mohammed Hossein Shamkhani, targeting more than 200 vessels. In addition to the Navy blockade and the president's tough stance and retaliation against Iran, can you tell us what's left in terms of your purview, sanctions and the economic warfare that can still happen against Iran?
Yeah, so we had the very successful the Epic Fury, which is six weeks campaign, eliminated the Iranian Navy, the Air Force, a large part of their missile and drone stockpile, destroyed most, if not all, of their capability to rebuild. And then we moved on to what we call economic fury. And that's a 1-2 punch. It's the blockade. And then what we're doing at Treasury, and we are tracking these accounts all over the world. We froze a crypto wallet linked to the IRGC the other day, about $130 million.
Nobody talking about this. Oh, you're bombing people. You're blowing stuff up. Yeah, but we're taking their money, too. That's my money. You're taking the people, the Iranians' money. And you're, more importantly, we've been tracking it. How do they? I don't know. But now we know where they're moving money from and to. So if they were trying to buy weapons, we can see the transaction. Even if they did it with crypto, they've seized the wallets. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Nobody talks about it.
We have found the money man for the Ayatollah, and we are tracking the Ayatollah's properties around the world. We hope to soon be able to print his $100 million plus properties and show the addresses. And we're preserving this money for the American people, but most of all, we are constricting the regime. Their currency has collapsed. It is at an all-time low versus the dollar. It's in free fall. And we think the inflation rate is upwards of 180% in Iran. So, the government is causing the people to suffer. And we're going to keep pressing, but we're also going to marshal the resources and save the resources that we recover for the Iranian people when we get on the other side of this.
All right, so imagine today, end of July, that there are people still out there who think that Doge was closed down. That they weren't able to put in their algorithms and their spiders and their AI to go forth and get stuff. I've played around with AI enough. I've played around enough with agent AI, agentic AI, and I've played enough with all the things that these guys are doing. I can't even imagine on the scale that they can do it on, what they've deployed into the banking system. It's kind of scary. But in order for him to do the things he just quickly said, and just said very quickly, you needed somebody who can say, go find this money, go find these accounts, go find these dead people. And it just seems like every other day we're being deluged with it. We just found another couple $100 million. How do you think that's happening? You don't think that Doge already found it? When everybody was saying, oh, Doge is going to be wrapped up, we got Elon out of here. I'm like, you didn't get him out of here. Any one of you who've ever dealt with software and everything else, whoever has made this program that I'm broadcasting on, I'm sure they have a way to go in and go, oh, what's he been doing? I know that there's backdoors on these things. And so you're talking about some of the most advanced computer people in the world. They didn't need to be there. They could be literally anywhere in the world and clicking buttons.
So how much of Iran's ability to finance the IRGC would you say has been disrupted? And are you prepared to put sanctions on, for example, Chinese banks, if in fact you find out that Chinese banks or Chinese companies are continuing to purchase Iranian oil and trying to support the IRGC?
Well, we have sanctioned Chinese, what are called the so-called teapot refineries, which are the private refineries, and we've seen a substantial decrease in their purchases of Iranian oil. The Chinese in general, because of the prices and because they have a very large strategic petroleum reserve, have dropped their purchases of crude over the past few months by about 40%, and that's directly pressuring the Iranian regime. And we put the blockade back, and I tell you, the blockade is powerful financially, but I think it's also very powerful psychologically. It cuts Iran off from the rest of the world, and we also had the ability to interdict the Iranian dark fleet once they are out in the Pacific.
Yeah, that's incredible. We're going to be watching all of that. Secretary, I want to move on to AI because, of course, we are producing and programming a special week this week, talking to the most important companies and individuals in this AI race and this amazing build-out. The Lindsay Group recently reported that the Federal Reserve found that the capex of Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Oracle reached $412 billion in 2025, or 1.3% of GDP. Some estimates for 26 are north of $700 billion. We just heard one estimate at $1.25 trillion in terms of spending on this build out. Can you assess for us what the impact of the AI build out and this infrastructure that is happening massively? What's the impact on the economy?
Well, Maria, this is a generational technological boost. President Trump came in and became one of the great supporters of this very important technology. And it starts with, we have to have the energy for AI. President Trump is allowing the AI companies and the data centers to build their own power generation. So we're seeing it there. We're seeing it up the supply chain, and this is kind of a once in a generation or build out, and it's very powerful. And on the other side of this, we are going to see big productivity growth, and really that's how you increase national wealth, is through productivity growth. And the U.S. is the home for this. And one of the things I wanted to say today is we've seen a lot of talk about open source models coming and threatening the large language models in the U.S. What I will tell you is this administration supports open source models, but what we do not support is IP theft. And if we see, especially, that overseas models are stealing from our great companies, we have the ability to sanction them because of this theft.
Yeah, that is.
So he just said something there that maybe some of you, and I'm not being presumptuous, but you might want to look into. He talked about open source, and he talked about LLM, large language modeling, and different things like that. This is how advanced this stuff is getting very quickly. And the productivity, as he just said, is tied to the wealth building. So I can't even imagine the stuff this guy is doing, because he's dealing with sanctions on Iran. He's dealing with collecting dead people's money, and at the same time trying to manage the productivity of the United States.
It's a really important point, and that's exactly where I was going next. The Wall Street Journal this morning writes this: top American AI executives are sounding the alarm on Chinese models. Silicon Valley and Washington debating a multi-billion-dollar question: should American companies be able to use Chinese artificial intelligence models? And what does that mean for IP theft, knowing that we've been watching the Chinese steal intellectual property from America, from the West, for decades?
Well, we are finding watermarks of our U.S. large language models on many of the Chinese models, and that's unacceptable, Maria. So we're going to be looking at that in the coming days or weeks. But again, the U.S. government supports open source, but what we do not support is IP theft. The other question might be, should companies that are using Chinese models have to disclose that to their customers?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, we're talking now about this Chinese Kimchi K3. It was competitive with U.S. models and on some benchmarks. And Secretary, the U.S. is going to be holding these AI talks with China in September. You'll be leading that delegation to discuss this with the Chinese counterparts. It comes from a new report from Axios, says there's, quote, a secret Trump administration battle to fight Chinese AI, including behind-the-scenes moves by the Commerce Department, the National Security Agency, and the White House Office of the National Cyber Director, saying that even they're considering implementing an executive order saying U.S. companies could only host Chinese models if they could guarantee security and take liability if it were breached.
Well, again, these models have to be held to the same standard that U.S. models are, but more importantly, are they using stolen materials? There's a very technical AI word for it called distillation, but you and I would call it theft. They go and they have the hundreds of millions of hits against the large language models here in the U.S. and they try to reconstruct their code and the thought process of the models, and that's unacceptable.
Well, the Chinese,
if that part of the conversation when she moved into that, if you glossed over and it didn't feel comfortable because it seemed so unknown, I can't compel you, but I can urge you to begin looking up this stuff. It is growing so fast. I myself am trying to educate myself more. It's way beyond Chat GTP. It's way beyond Grok. Now, the whole thing in terms of, especially with the agentic AI and the different things that these, as he's saying, these models can do, it's becoming insane how fast it's growing. It's scary, but it's still happening nonetheless.
are coming out with these open source models and they're cheaper. And for, an ordinary company, not necessarily one of the big major companies with the wherewithal to spend whatever they can spend on their own AI infrastructure, a smaller company may need to go cheaper and may want to use the Chinese version. Are they doing basically what they did when they dumped cheap steel into the market? I mean, the Chinese now doing that with open AI, with AI models?
Well, I think the difference here, Maria, is we are starting to see the emergence of some U.S. Open source models. I believe Meta has 2 coming out. NVIDIA has 1. There's a private company called Reflections that is going to be debuting in the fall. So it's not exactly synonymous to what happened with steel, because we are actually creating competitors. The largest European model, Mistral, is a combination open source and proprietary source. There's a Japanese combo open source, but again, the lowest cost. You can't use counterfeit goods. You can't use counterfeit goods, Maria.
Yeah. So what you're saying is there are big opportunities for AI, certainly, and there are also areas that we need to be aware of in terms of theft, potential theft by adversaries. Can you walk us through where you see the biggest opportunity for AI on the economy? Because no doubt there's hundreds of billions of dollars moving into the U.S. economy for these build-out in infrastructure. We understand that that's leading to a productivity boom, which we've already seen, by the way. It's just
Okay. Stop, Maria. You went way too fast. Hundreds of billions of dollars, productivity booms, yet we got people on the left saying the poor peoples can't eat. This is the part that just completely just makes me go nuts. When we hear the same old argument from the people in the loony left talking about how, the peoples can't eat and they have to make a choice between cat food and groceries, and I'm like thinking, what is wrong? We can help everybody. We can actually, the more people can learn, the more productivity you will have, I will have, that allows other people to prosper. What do you mean by that, Barry? Well, one of the things we never talk about is what will you do if you become more successful? I don't think there's anybody who says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a hole in my floor, and whatever I make, I'm going to stick it in this little hole, and I'm not going to do anything. No, that's not going to happen. You're going to buy clothes. You're going to go to restaurants. You might buy a new car. Every time you do something into this economy, anytime you show some more productivity, somebody else benefits, assuming they're working. When I take my car into the garage for a service, whatever it's check the oil or do this or do that, I see all the people back there in the bays doing their work. If I didn't buy a certain car, then those people back there in the garage wouldn't have jobs. They try to fight and say the trickle down theory doesn't trickle down. It doesn't to people who aren't working. But if you stop in at a 7-Eleven, somebody's there to, take your money and do whatever they need to do. If you want to ring up a donut or something, everything you do once you do that transaction, whether you swipe your card, is enabling somebody else to be more productive. And it literally breaks down that simple.
Extending it. But what about the big opportunities in terms of industry?
Well, it's going to be industry by industry, but it'll be all along the supply chain management. It will be in inventory management and optimizing inventory, and it will be in employee productivity. I listened to your earlier guest, and she was exactly right, and you're exactly right too, because AI, what we've seen thus far, AI is not taking anyone's jobs. As a matter of fact, companies that have implemented large-scale AI implementation have been increasing jobs at a faster rate than the overall corporate pool. So it's important, especially for young people, the person who will take your job is someone who knows how to use AI.
Yeah.
So anything you can do to get trained up on that and be proficient, I would encourage everyone, no matter what age they are.
Yeah, great advice for our viewers there, and particularly those people looking for a job coming out of college. Let's talk about the macro story. Secretary, this economy...
Wait a second. So you're telling me, Mr. Bessent, that being the barista isn't going to help you, like, move up the ladder? That you have to actually learn AI in order to harness it and what it can do for you? Is that what he's saying? That's exactly what he just said. It's not going to put people out of work. It's going to help more people do work.
Has been on fire, and now we see evidence that, in fact, inflation is going down. U.S. consumer prices declining in June for the first time in 6 years. You had the June CPI showing inflation at 3.5% month over month. Prices were down 0.4%, driven by a big decline in gasoline prices since 2022. You say inflation will keep coming down as AI stands to double productivity. How would you assess the macro story today, sir?
I would assess the macro story as being very healthy, because if we look, what gives me the great confidence is the underlying economy. The general trend of the economy is very strong, and importantly, on the other side, the core inflation number has not accelerated due to the short-term rise in energy prices. So we've got strong underlying growth, core inflation under control, and that's a formula both for a great economy and for strong markets.
What would be your expectation for growth in the second half of the year, Secretary?
Yeah, I'm not going to give a guess, but I think that 3% is minimum. It's not unreasonable, and I think we can start coming back towards the Fed's target level. I think PCE inflation versus CPI inflation. PCE has some quirky things in it where, like the stock market goes up, and because of portfolio management costs, the costs are going up. I think those are going to be adjusted this year.
Yeah.
So I think inflation's under control. What the president and HHS, Bobby Kennedy, Dr. Oz have done on drug pricing is just fantastic. We're seeing the drug pricing down, and that affects all Americans.
Yeah, and one of the best parts, I think, of the president's agenda is how he zeroed in on the fact that the supply chain needs to be in America for the things that America relies on. And you talked about this recently. The supply chain coming back to America has been critical to ensure that the U.S. can make and produce our own, like, pharmaceuticals and semiconductor chips, the things that are national security related, so much so that the U.S. government took a stake in Intel. What a move. The stock has soared since you actually made that investment. Same with MP and the rare earth companies. Will there be more companies that you're expecting to take stakes in?
Well, Maria, what we're trying to do is create market signals and show the market where we're going. In essence, trying to tell investors, okay, here's where the puck's going to be. Skate to it quickly, because we want private sector solutions, and we're seeing that. But what you're talking about is resilience, and we inherited an economy that was a mess. But one of the underreported things was the lack of resilience. As I've said many times, the only good thing about COVID was it was a beta test for if the supply chains were to be cut off, during a protracted major power conflict. And unfortunately, we discovered that we had been thinking too much about efficiency, too much about low cost, and not enough about resiliency. So I can tell you that this administration across all agencies, whether it's Treasury, Commerce, DOW, the USTR, everyone is focused on resiliency, and President Trump is going to hold us to that standard.
Yeah, and of course, this week is a big week for tariffs because Section 122 tariffs expire, Section 301 tariffs to be implemented, and the president is poised to unleash new tariffs, fresh tariffs, on dozens of countries soon as this week, we're told, as the president has imposed a 50% tariffs on some Canadian goods, including cars, alcohol, and dairy products. What is the trade discrimination that is at hand causing the president to hike tariffs here on Canada?
Well, I think it's something that we've discussed with our Canadian colleagues for a long time, and they haven't done anything about it. They're highly discriminatory on dairy products. U.S. Alcohol and beverages have been removed from Canadian shelves. So, this is really just reciprocity in terms of what they've done to our great U.S. companies.
Secretary, this is an incredible week. It's the final week for the House before their August recess, and they're juggling a lot of things. They've got Reconciliation 3.0. They've got a continuing resolution, NDAA, perhaps a Congress stock ban on the agenda. What's most important in terms of priority? Because we're all expecting the Democrats to shut down government again in October. And we just spoke with one of our guests, Congressman Schweiker, who said we are borrowing $93,000 every second. So whatever's in this Reconciliation 3.0, he says it has to include strict dollar for dollar and year for year spending cuts to ensure fiscal sanity. What's your take on all of this? Where to cut, where to save money, and what is a priority before the midterms in terms of legislation, in your view?
Yeah, a couple of things, Maria. So first of all, let's go back to the top of your show, that in terms of the waste, fraud, and abuse, if we can save hundreds of billions of dollars on that, then we don't need to cut programs. So that
there it is. I don't understand why the Democrats don't realize that's the answer. Cut out the fraud, cut out the abuse, figure out what's bare minimum to do things, stop paying dead people, and then you got all the food stamps you need. It's pretty much simple.
That's why this is and all areas of government, all hands on deck to get this done. Part of it is to get us into balance and bring down this terrible deficit to GDP that we inherited. We're also working on the Clarity Act to make the U.S. the best place for digital assets. And I think we're at the 1 yard line on that. It's in the Senate now. So we'd like to see that passed before Congress heads home. And as you said, we don't need another government shutdown. Yeah. Last year, the Democrats, the longest shutdown in history. And when I was up on the Hill testifying, some of the Democrats had the temerity to say, "Oh, you were wrong in your GDP projection." And I said, "Yeah, it was because you shut down the government."
Yeah.
So they're willing to hurt the American people to score cheap political points, and somehow there's this narrative that you can see brewing in Democratic circles, where they say, well, because the president or the Republicans have the presidency, the House, the Senate, the American people will blame it on Republicans. And I think just like some of these failed candidates who they've had to pull off the stage, the American people are smart and aren't going to fall for that.
Yeah. Real quick before you go, Secretary, the president is going to be remarking and promoting the Trump accounts at Wheeler High School in Georgia this week. And it's been nearly a month since the launch of the Treasury Department's historic Trump accounts. Great idea. More than 6 million children have already enrolled for these tax-deferred investment accounts, with more than 1 million.
Wow. 6 million kids are into the Trump accounts. That's simply amazing. That is a strong amount of people have adopted this initiative and are doing something with it. Hopefully you set up your grandchildren and children.
Newborns eligible for that $1,000 Treasury contribution. How would you assess the program so far, and what do families need to know to get a piece of that?
Well, what they need to know is just go to trumpaccounts.gov. Anyone with a child 18 or under should create the account. If your child's born during President Trump's term, Treasury is going to seed the account with a $1,000 seed investment that'll go into a low-cost index fund. But we're also seeing some of our great philanthropists like Michael and Susan Dell, who are putting $6.25 billion up for America's children. We've seen some people like Harold Hamm has adopted state of Oklahoma, so you don't have to be eligible for the Treasury seed because great philanthropists, foundations are putting money in. Many corporates are putting money in, and we're seeing. I think that this is the most important social benefit for young people since the GI Bill. And I have been an advocate for financial literacy for more than a decade. It's very important to me. My family has been one of our philanthropies. And I think that this is going to be great for financial literacy. 38% of American households don't own equities. And the goal of this is to eradicate that. And it'd be a lot more viewers for you, Maria.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm also an incredible supporter of financial literacy, have been for a long time. I was delighted to see this policy. Secretary, it's great to see you this morning. We so appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Financial literacy is huge. Hey, before I close, I did want to show you guys just something that'll hopefully give you some insight into myself as well. I had no idea what AI was. I still feel like I'm walking in baby steps, but I just want to show you what's available to you that you can learn on your own. Like this this profile here. It's called Radar. Anthropic just dropped their first course after the Fable 5 release. This free 4-hour course is the fastest path to $500,000 AI engineering job before 2027. Prompting, agents, memory, and loops from zero to full setup. People pay $500 or more for courses from gurus and still never watch Anthropic's original course. Watch it today, then read the guide below. And this is literally a 4-hour video on how to build. I haven't even gotten to loops myself, but it says stop being the loop and how to make Claude work for you. It's all free. And there's another one here. I've got these saved because I'm going to watch it. This is Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, and it says nobody writes prompts anymore. The new job, that's how fast this has changed. Before it was write prompts. The new job is to write and handle loops. I don't even know what the hell a loop is. I had to save this in my bookmarks. So I'm like, I'm going to have to go back and find out what the hell is a loop now. It has changed that fast. It has moved on that fast to where the point is, I'm looking at something that me personally, has no idea. Is that this is the shift that's going to define the rest of 2026. 53 minutes of pure insight from one of the richest men on earth. Watch it and then read the full guide on how to actually use loops below. And there's an actual loop. Everything you need to know. Watch an hour video and then read the guide on how to put these things together. And who knows where that will take you. So I save all these things myself. Oh, okay. I save all these things myself because I'm trying to learn the best I can so I understand where things are going. And it's free. You don't have to pay for a course. You don't have to find a teacher. You don't have to do anything other than just watch the videos. All right. So just wanted to leave you guys with that. I don't have any ears, SV, so I hope there's not going to be too much of an echo because I got to turn my speakers on. What do you got?
All right. I got a few stories.
Hold on. That's real loud. That definitely will feedback. Hold on. All right. Go ahead.
USA. Testing 1, 2, 3. Good?
No, I can hear you. Okay. I just had my volume up too loud.
Right. No, I understand.
And so if I have it up too loud, it'll feed back into the microphone. All right. So let's see. What's the first one you got here?
Stories 9 through 12, but you can have, if you're short for time, we don't have to do 9. That was kind of.
No, I'm fine. I just my headset just died from 3 hours, but not.
Yeah. No. You're gonna need that spare headset.
Is this the John Cornyn Kerry Lake one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is number 9. So he's on a Rhino revenge tour. So he's blocking Donald Trump nominees Kerry Lake and Doug Mastriano until President Trump resumes certain USAID funding to Africa. Remember those poor peoples?
Wow.
He goes, the only way it seems like you can get the administration's attention on some of these funding issues is by using the leverage to withhold votes on nominees.
Wow.
I can't wait till Paxton gets in. Yeah.
What an absolute piece of you know what. And
excrement.
why has he got a hard on about USAID? How much money is he getting cut back?
He probably threw a dart at the board. He doesn't care which one.
He's just doing it to cause problems.
It sounds like it.
What's
this one? I thought was pretty cool. So apparently, President Trump and Republican Clay Fuller have just brought viral German World Cup fan Freddie LA7 to the speaker's balcony at the Capitol before he leaves America. He had some issue where he refused to bow to the leftist mob that threatened him. So the video shows him, looking at the view. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So that's actually a video by it's by Freddie. Okay.
Yeah. Check that out.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Cool
pretty
story
awesome.
there.
Pretty awesome.
And
they're still doing construction down there. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Yeah,
keeping out the crazy leftists.
That guy was pretty cool in terms of I can't believe they gave him a hard time. That's insane. All right, so the next one.
Well, before you go to the next one, so I sent you some earlier. So for your libtard zone, there was a video from Jasmine Crockett where she talked about if you voted for Spain, you're racist.
No, other way around.
Oh, what's that? I have it backwards.
Yeah, she said if you were rooting for Argentina, you're a racist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Either way, it's.
She'll be gone soon. She'll be gone soon.
Yeah. Well,
all right. What's this one? This is
this story here with the FIFA. So President Trump reportedly wants FIFA President Gianni Infantino to be selected as the next United Nations Secretary General this year. Please make it happen. The meltdowns will be enormous. Infantino is a big Trump fan, as we saw, who saw just how amazing America under Trump was during the World Cup. He's originally from Switzerland. Trump thinks Infantino is respected by everyone around the world and recognizes he has a special ability to bring people together. Unification. Here we go.
He did. I mean, that whole thing he put I remember we broadcast when he first came to the White House and was talking about it and gave him the trophy and said and everything else. So it was definitely he was definitely a unifying type guy. And you got one more here. This
the last one. This is so Mr. Potato Head.
As I'm scrolling down, all I see is Mr. Potato Head in here.
I know. Come on, man. I'm a dumb son of a you know what. That's what he always says. So just in, court rejects Biden's cover-up. Appeals court just smacked down Biden's desperate attempt to hide his ghostwriter interview tapes. What are they so afraid of America seeing? More proof of the puppet in the regime hiding the truth for years. The media should be held accountable for covering up Biden's dementia.
But will they? They won't even cover it. They're not gonna cover it whatsoever. They're just gonna let it fade into. They don't even want to cover any of the hearings. Oh, you're talking about the 2020 election. That's old. Let it go. No news to see here. Everything that they've been saying is just a big crock, and they don't want anybody looking backwards. We're gonna have to disable them. That's what's gonna have to happen to them. Is find some way to put a muzzle on it. I don't know if you saw it. I think you did post about it on your personal profile that Paramount and the sale of CBS to the new guys. Letitia James is trying to stop that now too. It's like everything they possibly can.
It's more activism. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a temporary thing. It's going to be overturned, I'm pretty sure, but we'll see.
But that works for them because all they care about is delay.
That's right.
That's it.
Well, why isn't she perp walked yet? I want to see her in an orange tent.
She's under indictment.
Right, but I mean, it's taking time. I know I got to be patient with this one. But I'm looking forward to that when that happens. Oh,
yeah, for sure. All right,
anyway,
brother.
Another short show, Barry. Good job.
Yeah, thanks for nuking the trolls today.
yeah. You see the message what I sent you. So let me know what you think about that.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
All right, talk to you soon. See ya.
I don't get. I really don't get trolls. I don't know how they get their rocks off doing some stupid stuff, but that's how they go. All right, let's do some super chats and go have some dinner. Go see the wife and the dogs. Bielka says, "What's wrong with Senator Collins? She is shaking." I don't know. Parkinson's maybe. She's obviously got something, but she's still running for yet another term. Fisher, 2,000 no's. Everybody, turn it off. Turn it off. Cheer us up. Only if they're gonna boil Congress like frogs. That's what I'm not going to show anymore. I'll show some highlights, but we can't do these things live. They're crazy. They're useless. Bielka, they sent money overseas for gay events. Y'all try to get me in trouble. Moshe, I grew up reading biographical stories of how people remained religious Jews in the USSR because religion is the first thing they go for. Yep. Pekovsky, wake me up for the revolution. It's coming. Chiosop, no elections for you. Oh man, I can't believe Nicaragua woke up this morning and found out they've been duped. Andrew, Bear, I used to work for Smithfield Foods here in John Thune's district. Smithfield, through a third party and the Lutheran Church, have brought so many Africans into Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It has ruined the city. Wow, nobody knows that. I didn't know that. Wow. Chia Shop, if she admitted to 6,000, there are hundreds of thousands. Yes, that's what I think. When SB showed me that story, I was like, what is the information? How many people were actually, she was the one who dropped the story, so yeah, there's probably a lot more. Phyllis, look at Brylan Holly. He's been making the rounds. I think he would make a good guest and bring some hope for Gen Z. Okay, I'll have to look him up. Thank you, Pekovsky again, Chiosop. Welfare cases don't work to pay their bills. He's talking about in Mandami. If you work to pay your bills, crazy. Commies don't work to pay their bills. Diana, here in California, us as parents can no longer get our own child's medical records unless our child says yes at the age of 12. I actually have a video of that I'm going to show you tomorrow. Some lady recorded a phone call. I thought it was satire. I thought I was watching Saturday Night Live. I could not believe that. Fazul, way left screaming at far left. They asked for it. Let them deal with it at this point. Exactly. Pekovsky, switch from millionaires to billionaires to trillionaires. Bernie, he can't complain. He's not a billionaire yet, but he had to drop the whole millionaires thing. Chiosop, Bernie can taste that wet dream if he doesn't try. He's been waiting for this all his life, hadn't he? Chiosop, establishment Dems gave the commies the cheat secrets and they went and cheated the Dems out of office. We need to take them out before they come for us, which they most assuredly will. Dems and media complacent on a theft in terms of all the fraud. It's insane. It's insane, but you're right. Nicholas Lamonicus. Hello, Nick. Barry, I think people have been made to feel guilty about being prosperous. I have begun to invest and it's exciting. No more Democrat doom and gloom. I think that was the idea. Make people feel guilty, make them feel bad for trying to be prosperous, to try and break out. And we got a president in there now who's doing nothing but encouraging us. So why would we not try to go for the gusto? Ashley, not my daughter, but another Ashley. Thanks for a great show, Barry, and shout out to SV and his hard work too. And the other mods, Severo, Beth, and Roaring Rage. The commie crazies and fraudsters are so disgusting. Thanks for putting out a spotlight on this sense of fake news. Well, all the time. Thank you. Guaranteed. And Linda, love your podcast, Barry. Thank you watching, Linda. Thank you very much. All right, everybody, I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Not sure if the White House press conferences are usually Thursday, but we'll see. Thank you.
you.